I have my box of mech guns back, please?
You don't need them for now.
I want to get them out so I can...
They're banned. Hello, welcome to the Honest Wargamer. I'm your show host, Rob, and today I'm joined by two wonderful people, both Nick and Tom.
I'm a great hobbyist.
More on that later.
Yes.
More on that later. But I want to say hello to you both. How are you both?
Fantastic.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Tom?
Yeah, I'm feeling good.
You feeling good?
Yeah, I'm feeling
You pumped for today, talking about some 40k?
Should be
You
good.
should probably turn that into a poem. If anyone would like to write us a poem for the start of the 40k Ladies Night show, that would be great.
I feel like Slanice will be on that one pretty quick.
They'll all be on it quick, that's the issue.
Do I have to censor that one?
So, hello everyone, welcome to the show. Strength 10 Gaming, thanks for hosting us, that's very nice of you. Hello Greckle, Jim980, so hello to everyone on Twitch, you guys are the best. Thanks for being here. We couldn't do the show without you. We couldn't do the show without everyone on Patreon either. So big shout out to you guys.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You guys are great. And Pepine, Wargaming Dad, Innes Wilson. He's lovely. I didn't get to talk to him as much at the
He
LCO
gave
as I
me
wanted.
a best army vote this weekend.
Best
Really?
army vote.
Yeah, he wasn't the only one.
Please, someone ban Innes from the
No,
chat
the
for
TO
600
ripped
seconds.
Innes better be careful because he could be. He could get involved in Tom's court case. You know, he might be. If he's an enabler, he might be the accomplice to these hobby crimes.
I'll call him as a witness. That'll be fine.
You're going to call him as a witness? What, to the crime? So we'll talk about that more. So I hope you guys are all well in the chat. Thank you for joining us. If you're watching us on YouTube, please jump over onto the Twitch so you can check us out there. If you're watching back, leave some comments, some thumbs. I like to I reply to all the comments now. It's normally like, great point, man. Kiss, smiley face. But make a point.
Love.
Yeah, big love at the end. Hey, Big Goldfish. The question for Tom, what are those mech guns all about? Great question. Greckle, love the fact on this wargamer can say my screen name correctly. It's not hard, is it? Greckle? Greckle, is it meant to be something else? Is it sarcasm? Oh no. Tom, apparently you need a haircut. And also, everyone in the Twitch chat, if you're excited, you may not know this, but you now have access to a brand new emote on the channel.
Oh, we've got the jet emote.
So if you're a subscriber, you do get to do the jet emote.
Big pog.
So yeah, if you subscribe to the show, you're going to be able to use that in all of your other twitching needs. I just put a small angry dog that says the word jet.
But it's not an arsehole.
No, it's not. It's his face. Star Wars X32 resubs this channel much better than Model Floggers. Oh, thanks very much, Star Wax. That's nice. I mean, they don't set a particularly high standard, so. But we appreciate you saying that. Look, everyone in the chat dropping their jet emotes. Hello, Arkian, Chuckabee. Hey, I'll be right back just after Jet Bomb Warhammer Live. Maybe we should just turn the stream off now. Just
They
Just
can't
do a
ban
raid.
just
doggos.
raid it and then just fill it with doggos.
I mean, Peter will still find a way to somehow make the jet emote like anti-animal.
Oh yeah, no, who knows? Yeah. Alco Reb, thank you for subscribing with Twitch as well. When are we getting the crystal emote? That's a great question.
We need that.
Let's move. There's loads to talk about. There are loads to talk about with 40k, and we're going to touch on the Genestealer Cult Codex as well today, as well as all the big news. But the first thing we're going to cover, if that's okay with everyone, is we're going to check on you two and how you both are. But Tom, how you are is very much related to. I'm going to try and get this up on the screen so I can see it. So this is a mech gun. Yeah,
Exhibit A.
Can you guys see Exhibit A? Yeah,
This is a mech gun.
this is a mech gun. Not even particularly painted very well. This is about the most basic, ugly mech gun you can get.
Four colours.
Yeah, it's just
Pretty easy to make.
pretty rubbish. Yeah,
It's 28 quid, thank you.
it is.
Unless you do a 24-hour live stream, in which case you get them for free.
You do. This.
You're holding it the wrong way around. Turn it that way.
Yeah, give him a 360.
It says Zog off on it, so you've got free hand.
This is a bunch of crystals stuck onto a base that's been painted blue.
Hey,
Covered in-
airbrush.
Covered
Thank
in
you.
lettuce.
Airbrush.
What have you
airbrushed
airbrushed?
The base.
Why?
Why did you airbrush?
Why did you airbrush it?
Because I wanted it to make it look like a river, like the rest of my work.
Because as a pro painter,
Right. I don't understand how Brad Glover in the chat can get away with making really nice conversions by kit bashing.
Brad Glover is in the chat.
But the moment, yeah, he is, and he makes some really nice armies.
He's a beautiful armies.
But the moment that I take a bunch of stuff from Amazon and garden centres and glue them together to make this epic conversion, it's somehow creepy.
So you think
I think this is an epic conversion.
It's even hairy, mate. Look, it's hairy, like me, so you know it's mine. It's got this freehand on it.
Okay, you can see like the
So there's
blob that's in the middle there.
No, you can't. It's meant that's right. That's meant to be going through the crystals and refracting through it, so it glows.
Right. Okay. Okay.
They've even got the chains to hold it together.
The Twitch chat, Chuckabutty says, because Brad Glover does a proper bloody good job of it and tries, then Brad Glover says, I commend his creativity. So,
I'm defending it.
Okay, so that's,
Yeah, Moobs is asking if you used airbrush on your hair, which I think his name, and Heinrad says, what in Zog's name is that? Heinrad. By the way, Heinrad's now one of my favourite war gamers of all time.
Yeah, I met him at the weekend.
He's taller than me.
He's an immensely tall.
He is immensely tall. He is immensely tall, which is probably why he's not able to see the board well enough to play well. That's going to be absolute
Maybe
excuse
he couldn't
I'd
reach
use.
to move his models forward.
Yeah, I'd just be like, the battle, I felt too removed from the tabletop to do something sensible. Valerie says, good job, Tom. I like it.
Thank you.
It does look like a crystal butt plug.
I got 2 favourite army votes this weekend.
Only from your friends.
It is a little
Yes.
bit. It is a little bit phallic, isn't it?
I mean, it's better than Simon Weekly's, where it was just the crystals, and it was on the wrong base.
That's fair enough.
Hermanistas made you an offer in the chat, Tom. Evening, I'd offer to do Tom a swap. He teaches me how to play competitively, and I'll teach him how to do more than throw super glue in the bits box. That's not fair, Hermanista. He's actually thrown super glue over loads of tatties bought off Amazon. Yeah. He didn't even approach his bits box. Yeah, in any way.
No bits here.
Yeah, so if you guys are listening on the podcast, we will I'll attach a link to a picture to this hobby crime. And this hobby crime, by the way, Pure Evil's in the house, Nikos.
Leader of the Evil Empire.
Leader of the Evil Empire, one of your favourite people.
Right.
Hey, Moobsy.
I'm going to do a quick, detailed description of how you make an extra.
No, please don't. Please, can we only make a very, very detailed,
do a blog
very
post.
high-end video series?
Yeah.
We'll do a Blue Peter, like...
Yeah, done.
That's fine.
Yeah.
We'll do that for Patreons. So
Follow along at home how to build.
I've got some spare crystals as well, so I can do it.
So do you mean Metgun parts?
I'm so sorry. That gun spruce.
Have you got any more of these detergent bags?
I've got a couple more of these detergent bags. So you got to cut those up into thirds. I mean, you feed bits of paper clips, you bend through it. And then I had it on cardboard and I put it outside, made a little tent with it, like camo netting. And then I sprayed it black. And then I got all this kind of stuff.
This is from the garden.
Garden
Centre.
Yeah.
Okay.
So my nan got me that for Christmas. So I've been slapping it all over there, so it looks like it's kind of like an old pillbox.
So FYI everyone,
FYI
everyone, this is a box full of 18 of them. If you guys be able to see that.
I mean,
there's not one. There are 18 of these.
They aren't. They're all personalised with their own message on the top.
Okay.
So this one here says.
Have you been extra in Sheffield recently? Because your O's are very pronounced today.
Yeah, well, I've got to give myself some personality. I heard once that the reason they put Sean Bean on all the adverts is because if you have a Yorkshire accent, you sound more honest.
Is that true?
So yeah, so people are like, it's more believable that these are mech guns.
It's not believable at all. Altrios has just said in the chat that he's found some lint, and he's one up for making some more bottles out.
Yeah, here you go.
We should
I would like to suggest that it's the most orky thing in the world to loot whatever you can find and turn it into a gun.
Yeah, from the 40k universe.
Yeah, it is a 40k.
Not from
universe.
Amazon.
We never said it was from 40k universe.
To be honest, though, Amazon might create the 40k universe by automising everything and then causing the Dark Ages.
I'd like to point out that camo netting is a thing in 40k universe. Crystals are a thing in 40k universe. Big ass signs are a thing in 40k universe. Therefore, everything I looted is from a 40k universe.
It's just a bunch of crystals.
It's not just a bunch of crystals.
What's nice is you were allowed to use it at the event. That's nice.
I got docked all my pain points.
Well,
apart from that,
you got docked all of your pain points. I really respect that. If you guys have been following us week by week, you maybe will have heard that Tom won an event somewhere near Christmas, and he won it because he drew with someone. But he got extra points for painting, therefore won the event, which offended Tom so much he made those.
Well, this is the thing. I assume that because I'd won an event based off Hobby Score, I could just take a bunch of crap and make it into something beautiful.
Right. Okay.
And it hasn't quite turned.
Did you fly too close to the sun with your hobby?
Close to the sun.
Yeah. That's it.
DeBolt's asking how you're even defending it, which I think is.
I would put them on round bases, but they need to be 2 inches wide and 3 inches long. For them to be the same shape as a mech gun.
Where do you draw a line of sight from on this?
Any part of it. So if you can see a bit of pubes, you get it.
So anyway, so Tom, I'm taken by that and your Mech crimes, which me and Nikos, by the way, we thoroughly ripped into you last week about it.
I'm sure you did. So I made a mistake of posting the bare crystals on Twitter.
Yeah.
And I got like 11 angry responses. I then posted the.
Are you really happy there's no angry face emotes?
No, I really like the angries.
All right, guys.
I've only got 20 angry responses. I mean, I had to defend myself in 3 separate WhatsApps for my crimes. So I think I've paid my penance.
Yeah, you've almost ETC'd where they put ducks on top of cans of tuna. You've almost got to that level of meme.
I don't think they do that in ETC.
No, they did that one time, and it was literally the entire Warhammer Fantasy memedom forever. But you created those absolute sins.
And 62 people are here to see them.
Yeah, there are two things. No, I was going to make a joke, and even that was too far for me.
Do it afterwards.
No, I'll never make that joke again.
Afterwards.
So my point is you committed a crime, and then you went to an event, but you did it to go to an event.
Yes.
What event did you go to?
I went to Dark Millennium in Scotland, because I've been promising Liam, who was one of the guys running it, that I'd go up playing a Scottish event for the longest period of time. It was a 6-round event, actually.
Oh, really?
So I drove up to Scotland.
I love 6-round events.
I drove up to Scotland on the Thursday, which took 6 hours with my family. And we spent 2 days in Scotland doing like Stirling Castle.
Whereabouts? Is it in Stirling?
Yeah. And then I did the event, and then we drove back after the event, which took another 6 hours, straight after game 6, which was pretty rough. So I was taking these 18 abominations, 3 weird boys, 2 of which had the jump, 1 of which had warpath, 3 big mechs with custom force fields, and then 3 squads of 30 boys, which had 10 shooters in each. 1 squad of 21 boys, which is all choppers, and 2 squads of 10 boys. And that was my entire list.
Okay.
And in the first round, I was playing a guy called John McCartney, who is dubbed the nicest man in Scotland. So I played him. He was running a kind of weird dreadnought-looking list. So he had 3 Derrideos, 2 Contemptors with the Butcher Cannons, and then 3 Helverins. So it was chaos, kind of renegade stuff. And then he had a bunch of cultists for screening and some characters and stuff.
Before we get into it, you made those wonderful crystal achievements. Also, Camelot in the chat goes, surely they won't fly at Games Workshop events. No, I don't assume...
No, they will not. No.
not at events, but I did spot them in the hall last night.
Yeah. I was going to legit ask the guys in the store if they could open a cabinet so I could put them in and take a picture, but I didn't think that would be reasonable. Okay. Also, I was playing against Plague Bearers and we had half an hour left after we finished, so I was like... No.
All right, okay. Yes. Sorry, carry on. No, what was I saying? You've taken them because you want to try them out before you purchase them potentially.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
And this is the thing. And I don't really mind getting Dr. Paint points because I wasn't there to win the event. I was there to get 6 good practice games. So it was like, it's whatever. So I played against John. He was running this dreadnoughty list, and it was basically a case of he was killing like 40 orcs a turn, which is impressive.
Yeah.
And I was just jumping around and what have you. I had 30 orcs in the teleportarium. And my entire objective was just to lock down all of his dreadnoughts so they couldn't keep shooting my orcs and then try and win off the mission. I got quite lucky because he made a bit of...
Was this an ITC or an ETC?
It was kind of a weird ETC, but they were using some Eternal Wars that I didn't think were great. For example, the 4 pillars.
Yeah.
And the 4 pillars, like, you get a point at the end of a round if you got more objectives, so you get like 4 points between you at the end of the game. It's not really anything. So
you don't like that mission?
I don't think it was good for
I quite like the mission.
I'm sure it's quite good for individual, but for ETC it doesn't generate enough points to be worthwhile compared to the Maelstrom and the kill point components.
Okay.
Is that because you can't?
Can I just say thank you to both
Yes.
Can I say thank you to Altrios for the bits donation of 100 bits, and then Dude Our Day who's donated 1,100 bits to Hobby Commissar Nikos. Execute Tom for the hobby crimes.
I don't think we've had the fair trial yet.
We haven't.
See, it's so powerful.
Who would like to see a recorded video of the trial of Tom, the hobby criminal?
Yeah. We could actually have done.
We could do that.
We could do a thing like they do at Bobo. Like a firing squad.
Firing a Nerf gun at him.
Okay. I thought this was the Santa with the very naughty boy.
Big Goldfish, thank you so much for... John, we'll do it. We have 70 or so people in the chat right now. They can be the people who decide whether or not you are guilty or innocent. Well, so for the crime... They're the jury. Nikos is the judge. I feel like... Tom, you're your own defendant.
Can I make a final point?
Yeah.
I don't think anyone disagrees that I did it.
Yeah.
The question is whether it should be a crime. It's like prostitution.
I guess so.
Right.
I guess that's the point. The chat have already started to bring in their decisions. Chuckabutty, guilty. Witch King, guilty. Star Wars wants to take you to the gallows, which is... That band aren't together anymore, but... Loki, guilty. Erratic Buddha, guilty. Smackweasel, burn him. Full Greener, guilty. TFG Radio, guilty. Smackweasel, couldn't catch Genestealer Cults. Hellstorm Dan, burn him. Aim at his squigs, which would be a euphemism for your
white making of a murderous style series.
Witch King, no redemption. Walk of Shame. Burn the Heretic. Don't let him speak. Off with his head. Chapter Master Valrak, very annoyed. But I have to. Interestingly, Chapter Master Valrak.
Thank you, Papine. You got one.
Interestingly, Chapter Master Valrak. A lot of people are saying that is the new Primarch. That particular crystal.
It looks better from Sanguinius model.
Could be Alfarius.
It could be Alfarius.
We don't know.
A black and white making a murderer style series for Tom's Hobby Crimes.
Do you think I could take this to a heresy event and call it Alfarius?
Potentially. Innocent because he said prostitution, says Reticenti. Death by crystals and random household objects. Generally, Papa Bean says innocent. There you go.
We got four guilt. We got 10 times not guilty.
Yeah, Valerie says not guilty. Brad Glover, who is an incredible hobbyist.
And he's worth extra bonus points.
Yeah.
Because he's good at this.
Yeah. Pure Evil says it's a heinous crime, so he will be bringing all of the evil empire to get you, Tom.
Yeah, watch out, Tom.
We've got mitigating circumstances from Jim 980.
All right, good.
Like that, yeah.
Okay, good.
The insanity defense is always a good one.
And Symbol has made a good point. If you took it to a heresy event, I think those guys would legit stab you.
I mean, I'm going to get stabbed at the ETC this year anyway.
Are you going to take them to ETC?
I need to talk to the head ref, see if it's allowed.
It's not allowed. It's not allowed by any standard.
You assume we have standards, good sir.
If we let you leave this place with them,
we were upset last week.
We'll be in trouble.
I'll go and watch it back then.
You're affecting us.
I'll go and watch it back then. It'll be fine. Am I affecting you?
Because you're part of the show, buddy.
It's like me smoking weed in like my mum's attic or something.
That would be fine.
Affect you?
That would be fine. We would be okay with that.
Right,
Nikos one time punched a couple of kids and we had to do a whole show about it.
Yeah.
And I won an event in that show. We didn't even get to talk about me winning an event. We just talked about Nikos assaulting children. That's affecting me. Feed my ego, bitches.
And Iris Wilson says you would get away with it in the LGT, but how would you be able to tell it from the scenery?
That's a good question.
Yes.
Might have painted.
You probably lose them.
That's how.
Surfing Dibs is to donate 500 bits as well, some bits to start Tom's buy, some genuine fucking Met Gum scrub fund, which is a good fun.
That's a good
fun. I will donate to you one Met Gun.
I don't think that's it. How many Met Guns do I need?
Well, Mr. MX James, to be fair, I sold terrain from another table at LGT. Basically, anything goes. That's just move more terrain onto your board and be like, I've got a combat.
To be fair, when it's polystyrene, it's really easy to nudge.
It is super easy to nudge. Okay, sorry. So you played against Chaos Force.
I played against Chaos Force. It was a bunch of Dreadnought walkery things. I had to try and lock it down to try and stop it killing all my orcs. He made a bit of a mistake because he left like a 2-inch gap between his Helverin on the edge of the board because he had kind of like a front of Dreadnoughts and stuff shooting. And that meant I could get around the side of his Helverin and lock it in combat so he couldn't escape, so he couldn't shoot my orcs. So I just like tagged him in combat with 30 boys. And then he couldn't shoot anything else, so I just ran around, took all the points, and won the game that way. So that was a 20-0. I then played Aidan Higgins.
20-0 to Tom, the hobby criminal.
It's a sliding scale, so if you draw on points...
Are you excited about you having your own hashtag?
Yes, I'm very excited.
The hobby criminal senpai.
Yes. Get that trending, buddy.
That trending for you.
So it's fine. So basically, you start off, you've got 3 components. You've got an Eternal War component, a Maelstrom component, and a Kill Point component.
Yep.
You basically add all of those scores together, and if you're drawing on score, it's 10-10, and then the greater the difference in that score, the greater the difference in the tournament points. So the maximum difference you can get is 20 points to one player, 0 points to the other.
Right.
So 20 there, 0 there. I've been playing against Aidan Higgins, who was running looters, which are crap, and he had, there he is.
Controversial. Wow. Yeah, no, I saw this. I can't wait to... So, me, Nick, and Tom are all playing Orcs at the minute. So, at the end of this is going to be a big conversation, because I think all 3 of us want to go different directions with Orcs.
Are either of you actually running looters?
I'm going to.
Right, so it's just you.
Yeah, but that's only because Nikos is taking, like, burner boys.
Yeah.
So, we'll get to that later.
Right.
Sorry, go on.
So he had, like, 25 looters. He had 2 squads of 10 Meganobs. But this was a weird one, because it was frontline...
How did they do?
Well, it was frontline warfare.
Right.
And it was also a Maelstrom where it was fixed objectives. So it was like one Maelstrom objective in each corner or something. One frontline assault frontline warfare objective in each corner, and in each corner you have this massive line of sight blocking ruin, like massive. So like the width of this laptop, so it was about, how big is that? 15 inches?
6 inches as I describe it.
15 inches. Yeah, there you go. 15 inches. There you go. It's about 15 inches long, and it was line of sight blocking on the ground floor because it was the OTC ruins rule.
Yeah.
So basically,
which ruins 40k.
Yeah, so
thanks, Tom.
round one, I jumped
detected humour.
Round one, I jumped across, and his looters were way too close to his Gretchen, so I was going to hit his Gretchen, kill all his Gretchen, double fight, and kill all his looters.
Question.
Yeah.
Why would you kill the Gretchen? Follow-up question. That's mean.
Because we're in the way. So I could kill the Gretchen,
good argument.
and I could declare against the looters, so I could get in. But I let him have a take back because it was like it's kind of pointless for me to, kill all the looters because it's not a game man. I'd rather have the interesting practice game because Aiden's a really good player.
LVA rules.
Well, Aiden is a good player, and I wanted like a good practice game against him, which I got. So I let him move him out a little bit, so I could double fight to tag him and kill more Gretchen, which I did. But other than that, it was just like, well, maybe he failed to jump because he didn't have that many orcs around. Mm. So he managed to get them out, but he didn't mob them up or anything like that. Shoot all my boys. I then managed to catch the small squad of looters out again, kill 10 looters. His 15 looters then jumped out and shot like 7 mech guns to death, and then I killed all his looters.
So can you jump out of combat and still shoot?
Yeah, because he didn't fall back. So cool. What you end up doing is
Doesn't it count as a move?
No. Well, it might count as a move, but it doesn't count as a fallback.
Move is a...
And then what you end up doing is you use the Mordaka stratagem, so you always hit on 5.
Yeah, I'm just saying because like so anything that's counted as a move, like therefore because this for a while and the wording inside a 40k may not now be as fluidly tied together as it is in AOS, but there was for a time when you could move out, and then it wasn't obviously a fallback via special abilities. But then oftentimes it's classed now. Anything that's a standard move is because you fell out of combat as per a move, if that makes sense. I
get where you're coming from. I have to double check that, but that's just how we played it.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it just in the wording it just says you remove it and set it up again, and it counts as having moved for any rules purposes. So
you didn't actively fall back; you just pick it up and put it somewhere else. And now
but it just says it counts as having moved.
It's cool.
Any rules.
What's really nice is it's kind of like version 1 AOS where a similar thing occurred where there for a time there was a delineation between the two. And there was a clear rules referencing where they should have been intertwined. Mm-hmm. But in 40k, they may have intentionally also separated them out again.
I think so.
So definitely worth. Yeah. That would be worth an FAQ that we'll never get.
So what ended up happening there was
also thank you 245 bits from Hook and Pin, and thanks for subscribing.
So he stood on his 2 objectives. I stood on my 2 objectives. He got more kill points than me. Brilliant. And then he won 12-8 because he got more kill points.
Oh!
Well, we just stood there because I couldn't walk up to him because if I did, the Maganobs jumped out and beat up my orcs. And he couldn't walk at me.
So the Maganobs were inside the line of sight blocking terrain?
I couldn't touch him.
Oh, wow, that's so frustrating.
And then he couldn't walk across the board at me because if he did, all my smasher guns would just wipe him.
Smash him.
So we just stood there and he got 12-8 because he killed a bunch of
and grimaced.
Yeah.
Grimaced in orc.
It was fine. I then played Paul Ryan Stevenson. So Ryan Stevenson runs a blog called The Revenant 40k and he's an Eldar player. He had the flyer list.
Oh,
so he had
the flyer list. 9
flyers, something like that, and then he had a bunch of characters, and it was Hammer and Anvil. And he made what I thought was a little bit of a mistake, and he put so what he did was he had a box of flyers in his bag. Imagine it's like a football. I'm not even going to read that.
Thank you, Arkiad, for the meme. Don't worry, we'll post it later.
So imagine like a football field, and you've got a left back.
Yeah.
Your left back. His
left for our American fans, that will be a soccer field.
Soccer field, yes. Yeah. So you got on his left back was a squad of Rangers.
Yeah.
His right back was a squad of Rangers, and then just where the right corner flag was, he had 4 planes and all his characters in the center of the planes.
Yeah.
He then had.
Why can you describe that as a? Why did you have to do a football field when we
because this is important. For
okay.
Across. So, and then on the left hand corner flag, he had the rest of his planes. I get first turn. I'm all up a big unit of boys.
Yep.
I jump him across. I charge his left back, and I kill it. But I also move towards his right back and wrap around it, so he can't shoot my orcs because they're locked in combat with the Rangers.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But the way I've done it is, I am about 20 inches away from his flyers, and his flyers have a 20-inch minimum move. And I've also kind of wrapped around. So wherever he places his flyers has to be over the orcs.
Right.
Wherever he places the characters under the flyers have to be in front of the orcs. So I split up his characters. Defense. Yeah. I split up his characters and his planes. Because he has no quicken.
Yeah.
So he can't double move one of his characters to get it underneath the plane again.
So did you catch him offside?
So yes.
Good reference.
So the way it
no
works,
red flags.
There we go, and this has got an FAQ. Thanks. So the way it works was basically I completely isolated his characters from his planes just because of where he had to place the models.
Yeah.
So he moved his planes off. He bombed my unit of orcs and took off like 19 or something with his 2 Void Dragon bombers. And in his turn, I killed the rest of his rangers. And then I took all the remainder of my orcs, mobbed his characters, and killed them, and tabled it 10-2.
Nice.
So got all that done.
So you let the other guy have a take back of his Gretchens. Why did you not let the fly guy?
Because it didn't make a difference. Because as long as I can isolate
it's interesting actually, like in having all those orcs, because one of those things that we talked about was obviously the orcs can do great board control. So effectively, when we were at the LCO and we saw a flyer list run by Colm, so he had 6 flyers, he was against a fairly elite army that was unable to then create that board control. But did you find that the orcs having that capacity to do so was really impactful?
Well, it was more the mob up into a unit of 40 boys.
Yeah.
And then because of the way the deployment worked, because it was hammer and anvil, he has such a short width on his deployment that I can just kind of make shapes whereby I can just isolate.
Board control right there.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But it's easy to do it on a shorter width.
And it's also easy to do it if you've got 40 boys, but it's not easy to do it if you have an elite army, is my point.
100%, yeah.
Yeah, so it's interesting.
40 boys that can launch themselves across the board turn 1.
Yeah, it's really interesting that having that capacity to do that, like, scuppered that army. Because you tend to find most lists are... Horde's armies, I think, are always very strong because they have board control as an option, which elite armies don't have. So I find what's really interesting... But most people don't want to play Horde armies just because... I mean, why would you?
Because you have to make sacrifices.
Yes. Hobby hashtag the hobby criminal. Let's just get it trending one more time.
Speaking of Colin, I was playing him round 4.
Oh, nice.
He was running.
But is that round 3 just finished?
Round 3 just finished.
Yeah, nice.
So round 4, he had 8 Talos, he had 14 Grotesques, and some planes. Yeah. The issue here was he went first, and I need my smash guns to do work, so I needed to kill like 3 Talos a turn. So he goes first, moves up behind his terrain. I shoot at his Talos, kill 1 Talos. Oopsie.
That's fine, that's me.
That's fine.
Don't worry, I'll fix it.
So I killed 1 Talos with 18 smasher guns. He moves up again. And now I'm boxing my deployments in where I'm giving him a charge so he can hit them. He can hit it like a unit of orcs. Hopefully that unit of orcs lives like 1 or 2 guys. And then I can green tide it. But if it doesn't, I just counter charge with all my other orcs. It's fine. And then in my second turn, I kill half a Talos with my 18 mech guns. So where I needed to kill about 6 Talos, I killed 1.5.
Is that because they're like toughness 7?
Well, I wound them on 2d6, and as long as I match or better their thing, it's fine. But he passed quite a lot of vulnerable saves, which I'm not going to begrudge him because at the end of the day, it's part of the game. The issue is, I think they're just a little bit too inconsistent. And then turn 3, actually, they killed like 4 or 5 Talos. So they either go absolutely mental, or they're just in trouble. Because with the Talos, you've got so many variables in the invulnerable save and the d6 flat damage. And the 2d6 rolling to wound against toughness 7. It was just really inconsistent. So I'm not sure. Like, I think you don't need 18 to scare someone.
But it's such a cheap points investment.
Oh,
18's
it is. Yeah.
109. No, 100.
It's 31 points per guy.
Yeah. So like your squad of 6,
60 something.
Yeah, your squad of 6 is 186 points.
Yeah.
Which is just crazy.
Yeah, it's really good. They're really good value per point.
Yeah.
But it's just because if this army's going to win games, I need points elsewhere.
Yeah.
Other things to carry because they can't carry games reliably.
And you think 12 is as scary as 18?
I think 12 potentially could be. I'm going to be testing that out as well.
Right, okay.
Seeing what I think. So yeah, basically he just got in. I was jumping boys around. I was killing his troops because this is with 4 pillars one. So I was pushing him on Eternal Wars. I was getting more Eternal War points than he was, but it just wasn't worth enough points. And because he could just walk around the board wherever he wanted, and like, if I charge 1 unit of boys into him, he just deletes it. So I have to fully commit in one section. He could spread around the board a bit more easily and get those maelstrom points. But I got a point out of that in the end, so it was 19-1 to him.
Okay.
So I was happy with that 1 point, but it was just a bit swingy. But it's just one of those games, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
So I'm not going to argue about it. Com's a good guy and a good player. So.
Com's a lovely fella.
Oh, yeah, he's a good dude.
Did you fight the Talos with the boys?
I did.
So,
And I did 3 wounds.
3?
With
nice.
including double fighting.
Oh, really?
3.
Including double fighting.
Nicholas was telling me a story just before we went live.
Yeah.
Same thing for me. I ended up I double fought with a unit of 30 boys into some Custodes, shield captains, and they were just like, these are 2-ups, and he just rolled no ones.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really want to necessarily blame the dice for it because I'm sure there were other things that could have done. I'm just not experienced enough with the list to know what those things were.
Well, that's actually we'll get to it towards the end, but yeah, a similar thing that I find the boys the boys really useful. We'll get to that towards the end. We'll put a pin in that conversation.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, sure. So game 5, I was playing against Andrew Mulholland, who was running another Horde army.
Nice.
So he had 4 squads of 30 shooter boys, 2 squads of looters to make up 25, some weird boys, a war boss. He had a big mech with the souped up shock attack gun.
Yeah, nice.
And that kind of stuff.
The fancy one.
Yeah. And I discovered quite a cool trick in this one, because I went first, I jumped over, I tried to hide behind some ruins and charge all of his... Because I was like, right, what I can do is I can charge 3 units of shooter boys with warpath and a full unit, kill 1.5, double fight, kill another 1.5. I can remove 90 boys here. And then I was like, oh wait a minute, he's hitting on 6s and he's getting extra shots, so maybe I can just pull back behind a ruin, minimise the number of shots. And then I was working out I could only hit 2 units, which was fine. But I also discovered, because he was Bad Moons, the Bad Moon stratagem lets him fire again after he's resolved a shooting attack.
Yeah.
And Overwatch is a shooting attack. So he can double fire his Overwatch with one of his units.
Wow.
I know, I did that too.
Okay, but you've read it and you agree with that.
I was happy with that.
You were good
So
with that
it's fine.
reading.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that I was happy with that. So I go in, I kill. I actually lose my boys when I kill in that one. And then I pushed the unit of boys towards the centre area ready to follow up. And what ended up happening was they got half a unit deleted by the looters, but that pulled them out of range of the rest of the shooter boys. Mm-hmm. So effectively I was trying to drag the shooter boys across. And then I found... So you know in Game 2 I was talking about the looters being too close to the Gretchen?
Yeah.
Well, the looters were too close to the Gretchen again. And the way Dark Millennium was working was it had a bunch of custom stratagems for event.
Yeah.
One of them was you can stop your opponent re-rolling 1 dice for 2 CP. And another one was for 2 CP, you can have a 3d6 inch charge, pick the 2 highest. Wow. Which worked really well with the orcs. So it made my charges really reliable. So I took a unit of 30 boys to jump to over.
2 CP for that?
2 CP.
Wow.
So I took the unit of boys over, charged a unit of Gretchen, killed all the Gretchen. I'd also declared the looters, but because I was behind a ruin, they couldn't shoot me. I then double fought at the end of the phase, and made sure I was outside of 1 inch of the looters before then, but because I'd already charged that turn, I could pile in again. Piled in again, killed all 25 looters. So I removed all that section.
But that was just so, again, it just sounds from both those 2 stories, though, that it's not looters being bad, it's just poor positioning from those units.
Right, yeah, and my grievance with the looters isn't necessarily about the looters being positioned badly. Yeah. It's about them making a very one-dimensional list.
Yeah.
So, effectively removed all the looters. He was then kind of just in an open field because I was able to push my smasher guns up a little bit, and I was just picking off boys. And he just wasn't able to kind of push his centre because he couldn't do enough damage to my squads. And the moment he did, I was just like, right, here's 30 more boys, I'll just hit you again. So I just ended up clearing that one, and I got 20-0 out of that one.
Good job. Before we go on to the final game?
Final game, yeah.
Final game, just want to just read a couple of things out. Archean saying he's been considering doing 20 Rubik Marines lately, strongly considering. And they can put out a lot of firepower, so I can understand.
Bolt a drill, man.
Yeah, I can understand why. And then Valerie says, Tom, you're Eldar traitor, where's the Archon when you need him? Also, Alan Draw says, 3 wounds, you made the Talos bleed whomever's blood it was filled with. It could have been anybody's blood. Also, hello Frank, Troom, King Tristan, as well as Sinise, Archean, all our mods are in the chat, so thanks, hello. And those guys are now talking about those lists. And then MMX Exchange says, the looters need to be within 6 inches to get the grot shields, but that's close enough to double fire.
But what you can do is if you position the grots tightly enough, you can't pile in through the grots.
Yes.
So you can't then pile.
Was he spacing them out 2 inches apart?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you obviously got the width of the base as well, so 3 inch consolidate after you fall, and then 3 inch pile in afterwards.
Yeah.
I think you can.
Hi, Hen Bobble.
He might be right on that one. We'll have to see.
Yeah.
Although it depends how you position the grots, because you can do a kind of daisy chain and then a shield.
Yeah.
So.
Was anyone using the dice app for their
Colm asked me to. I said no.
All right.
Well, he didn't ask me to. He asked if I had it. And I was like, nah, dog. But we finished the game in time, so it was like fine.
Well, it doesn't matter then.
No
does
bother.
Although I will say, having done the stream the other day, and I know this is fairly controversial, but Dice App is excellent.
Fair enough.
Like,
Yeah,
that's fine.
I was using it yesterday.
like, I wouldn't use it for like, you know, like doing D6 damage or doing 3 or 4 shots. But as soon as I'm like, I have 150 shots with my orcs, I'm like,
Yeah.
nah, let's go. Let's go.
Yeah.
No, it's understandable. I've just got my own personal grievances with it.
Yeah, fair enough. Anyway, so final game.
So final game, playing Mike McConkey, who's one of the best players on the island of Ireland, in my opinion.
On the island of Ireland.
On the island of Ireland.
Wow,
and he was
it's
running,
my island.
Yeah, and he was running
Name that
Genestealer
film?
Cults. No.
Island, it's mine.
See?
No, I don't know. Sorry. What is it?
What about, I never liked him. He wasn't right in the head.
Is that Nathan?
Still not.
Chat to Master Valorant gets it. It's Braveheart. It's from Braveheart.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you
Also,
go.
virginity to Braveheart. Not to Braveheart. That sounds
Mel
weird.
Gibson
Sorry,
personally.
while it was on. Let's move on.
Alright.
I've only
How
fucked
did
that one up.
Was it VHS or DVD?
Freedom!
VHS.
How did you fit that in? Did you have to deconstruct it to fit that in, or was it?
Listen, we'll put that story on
You'd
Patreon.
like to know.
Put a pin in
Put a
that.
pin in that
We've
one.
got so many pins. We've got so much content for Patreon. It's
Yeah,
alright.
go on.
So he was playing Genestealer Cults. It was Hammer and Anvil again.
Was this with the new one?
Yeah.
Alright, good.
He had the Aberrants, he had some Jackals, he had some shit, he had some Mortars, he had the squad of 20 Hand Flamers,
Okay.
he had the Kelamorphs. He also had first turn because I gave it to him. He came down, charged a bunch of stuff, removed about 60 orcs, bright screen, so it was K. And then I had a cunning plan. I had one guy left from the squad. Shall I?
Someone's just saying,
Yeah.
I bet you can make some sweet mech guns from VHS tape.
Not from the tape, but from the case.
I like that
Smashing
everyone
them.
who's currently watching this show is just looking around the house and going, I reckon that could be a mech gun. Sorry, Tom. After
No,
you.
you're fine. I'm thinking about the cassettes. Okay, so gave him first turn. He kills about 60 orcs. I then have a guy, just one knob left in the building. He's ready to charge over 20 Hand Flamers.
He
So I'm
was
like,
a
right.
knob.
He was. I've got one squad of 30 orcs left, and I need that to go and threaten his backline.
Yeah.
So I'm like, right, I really don't want to lose this unit of 30, so I don't want to charge him into the Hand Flamers, because if I do, he's got another unit of 14 Hand Flamers coming down that's going to barbecue them all.
Yeah.
So I need to keep them safe and wrapped. But I also need to kill this squad of 7 Aberrants, and he's got kill this squad of 20 Hand Flamers, and he's got a bunch of characters behind the Aberrants as well.
Do you know what would be useful for that?
A dice app.
Louvers.
No. Do you know what was useful for it?
What though?
Smasher guns.
Okay, good.
So
Wait, did you just burn those like hand flavor squads with smasher gun shots?
well, I ended up having to because something really bad happened. So I had a unit in combat with the Aberrants. So I was like, right, I'm going to jump them out, get a charge of Hand Flamers with them after I've locked them up with the one guy who we can't overwatch at.
Yeah.
Kill all of those. I've now screened off my squad of 30, and I'm going to shoot all the Aberrants with the Smasher guns. That'll kill all the Aberrants, and anything spare I have can kill the characters. That's
sounds like a plan.
Ready for that plan. I roll my to jump. I've got a +3 to cast, 1 to 2. I then go to...
Fine, you can re-roll one.
I can't, because he's got Vect.
That's why I take the.
But he hasn't got Vex. He's got
Yeah.
he's got the Genestealer Cult version.
He has the plan... Something or less. Genestealer Cult.
Plan 4 generations in the making.
Yeah.
There you
Or
go.
4 codexes in the making.
Yeah. So, you guys have
I
everyone.
don't know if that.
Wait.
Just
No,
like
way
that.
more than 4.
So he Vects that, which means that I'm still locked in combat with the Aberrants. Which I'm just like, oh, well, that sucks. So I have to take my unit of 30 and lob them into the Aberrants. They kill the Aberrants, but the Aberrants get to fight on death because he used stratagem because he had 25 command points or something obnoxious.
25.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
He had something silly. And then I used all the Smasher guns killing the Hand Flamers because they were the only thing they could shoot at. so I killed those.
Grand overkill.
Yeah, so I kill all of his stuff in my face. He kills all my orcs. I've then got the Smasher guns, and I've got the big mechs.
Yeah.
The big mechs are just legging it down the field, running into units of Acolytes and Kelamorphs, and just eating them as they go past.
Oh, really?
Trying to get down to the other end to try and contest the objectives for scouring. And it was really close in the end. So I think he had it on Eternal War because he got the big objective and I got the small objective.
Mm-hmm.
I had it slightly on Maelstrom. Or he had a slightly on Maelstrom, it doesn't really matter. But I was 5 points up on kill points. But the way they were doing it was you got a kill point for every 100 more points of your enemy army that you killed.
Right.
And I killed 592. So I was 8 points off getting an extra kill point.
Right.
And there was 1 point in at the end of the game.
Oh.
So it came down. So it was an 11-9 to him.
Oh, that's a shame.
But it was fine. Like, it was just...
If you guys aren't au fait with it, some scoring systems, specifically the ETC, they do a split of something between 0 and 20.
Yes.
Whereas it's like some gaming systems is your like you generate points like in the ITC up to a cap, and in some it's just win, lose, draw, and in the ETC some people may be like, what is this 0-20 you keep saying? So 11-9 is a loss, but the closest loss you can get without being a draw.
So, by literally 1 point. So what I was ending up doing was, well, do I need 18 Smasher Guns? If I had more boys, then I would have probably lived, and then I can threaten his backline, which would be great. Also, in the Smasher Gun game with the Drukhari, if I had more boys, I could actually feel a bit more aggressive about throwing my boys in and going for it a bit more. So I'm thinking about adding some more boys in.
All right. Well, let's Nikos has played a game with his orcs recently.
Yes,
How did you end up? How did you end up with
9th?
Oh, congratulations!
Out of 54 or 56 or something like
Would
that.
you have been any higher had you actually taken an army that wasn't made of crystals?
I was talking about generalship. I didn't even look at the painting scores. I don't know if the painting scores affected tournament points or victory points.
I imagine it shouldn't have affected it, but like some tournaments obviously have. I found out this is non-40k related, but I'm going to Depticon in a couple of weeks, 4 I think, and I just realised. So I just found out that only 54% of your final placing is based on gaming.
Really?
Yeah, I saw that. It's like, because
54%. Well, actually, gaming is 36%, but then there are secondaries and tertiaries. So effectively, with secondaries and tertiaries, that comes to 56%.
How are you going to get the other 70% of your...
Well, one's best sports, and that's fine, because obviously I'm a fucking riot to be around.
And now you're going to get more now that you said that.
Hashtag podcast bar.
Hashtag podcast
I too
bar.
am incredibly
I'm also going to wear an American flag suit the entire weekend.
I don't know, people might not like that.
Why? What if I wear my Duck Dynasty hat? Surely.
Yeah, they like that.
Okay.
But I don't know, they take their flags very seriously.
I know, but they love it when someone wears it as a suit.
They do.
They love it when someone wears it as a suit.
What if you're not American then? They might be like, hey man.
Well,
offer everyone tea and
not
say,
cool.
I'll just keep telling people that I'll put in a good word with the Queen. Yeah, they'll be like, oh yeah, you must know the Queen. You're English. Yeah.
All Games Workshop. There you go. That'll work. Obviously.
But yeah, anyway, so it's best sports and painting. The painting is almost impossible to get the points for. This is all over.
I'd do it.
No, it's so hard. It's.
Hey, you did it at Blood and Glory, mate. I got a display board and everything, fam.
Oh right, all right. Well done, congratulations. That's really good, especially with a book like you've only played twice so far this year.
I played it at the Heat.
Yeah, once, and then this tournament twice.
And then I played it at one day before the Heat.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right, yeah.
And then Eric won again.
Oh, so who won the event?
Eric, who won the Last Chance Open.
Oh, excellent. He's a lovely fella.
No, different. He's playing Admech.
Oh, really?
Oh, really? That's cool.
Impressive.
That's cool. Did he have lots of Castellans?
No knights.
No knights at all. Was it
What did he have?
Catapult Destroyers?
Destroyers.
How many of them?
Too many.
Too many.
Something around the 30.
What, Rising Destroyers?
I'll double check the list.
Oh my god.
It
Yeah, it will be. If it's Destroyers, it'll be Rising Destroyers with a 5-up invuln.
It did have 5+ in one, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's from Vigilus.
Yeah.
But that's excellent. Yeah. Oh, fuck yeah, that's cool. I can't wait to read that list. We will find that. That'll be really fun.
Yeah, I've got it on the list docs on my Twitter.
All right, nice.
So we can scroll down.
21. Wait, hold on. Someone's saying something. Innis says it's 21 with arc
Innis,
rifles
Innis
as opposed to plasmas.
Yeah, and then 12 of Gravs. So Innis played it twice that weekend.
Right, okay. All right, I thought it might have been plasmas, but Grav Cannons is an interesting choice as well. But giving them a 5-up invuln from Vigilus is, I think, why you'll see them on the tabletop.
Yeah.
And you can also give them +1 to hit.
And them being troops choices.
Yeah, and you can +1 to hit, so it's just bananas. Bananas. Holy bananas. So well done to Eric. Congrats, Eric. You're a star.
He's on a tear at the minute. He's winning everything.
Is he?
Yeah.
He's just having a great time.
Yeah, he won the
LCO.
Northwest Open, North Wales Open.
He won North Wales Open, LCO. He won the Convenience GT, and he's won this. So those are his last 4 tournaments.
Wow. Good job. Well done, Eric.
He's doing good.
He's hashtag
and he's American,
so hot right now.
No, he's not. He's Welsh.
He's American though.
Is he American?
Which is Hard to believe because he's winning tournaments in England.
Yeah, because I heard the North American army is not very good.
Well, you see,
light years behind.
So basically, he comes over. He's got all the muscle. He didn't win it originally. He didn't win events originally, and we plugged a brain into him.
Oh right, yeah, that's right. Okay.
So he's got the mad skills. We just give him the brain.
So he's come over with his American charm, and you guys have trained him,
turned him into a good
like a Rocky Balboa montage.
Yeah, it was like when I was prepping for Game 5, he was behind me and he just put whipped tea out and he put it at a Fortress of Redemption. That terrain is not functional. He's made him take it off.
Oh really?
It's not acceptable.
Oh wow.
He was right though. He was right.
Such a classic American move.
Technically, I finished 3-3, but all my wins were by max points.
Yeah.
And 2 of my losses were like basically draws.
Okay.
So it was like by 1 point or by 3 points. So it was like 12-8, 11-9.
Still a loss though, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. The point being that I finished higher than a lot of people who won 4 or 5 games.
Oh right, nice. Okay.
Because
all right.
plus draws were.
Because that's how it works.
Yeah.
All right. Because Americans are known for their charms as Star Wars, I mean, they're just absolutely dripping with it.
Absolutely.
Just like English people have got zero sarcasm. Because you played with your orcs recently, right? Do you want to tell us what happened?
So,
not at a tournament, I assume.
Yeah, it was just a club game yesterday against my friend Stu, who I think might be in the chat.
Yeah.
I think I saw him subscribe earlier.
Hey, Stu.
So yeah, I was trying out a more Horde style orc list.
So
good choice.
So I had 177 orcs in the list.
Fucking hell!
You got enough there?
Not quite. Well, no, it wasn't enough last night anyway. Basically, yeah. So it was just a practice game. I made some bad decisions, half on purpose, half just because I'm still learning to play the army better. I got tabled on turn 5, and it went on to 6 and 7. So Stu scored loads of points the last couple of turns.
Nice.
But
what were we playing against?
It was like a mixed Blood Angels and Loyal 32 list.
All right.
So we had a big unit of like Sanguinary Guard with the Sanguinor, a Smash Captain, a Priest, and the Sanguinary Guard.
Which with those 2-up saves, that's fairly tough to get through for
orcs. Orcs, yeah, it was really difficult.
Yeah.
I was hoping just like weight of attacks.
Yeah,
sneaking up through on the.
That's what I did against the Shield Captain one time, and then the Shield Captain's like, "This isn't weighty enough, my friend." Yeah. I've had the Emperor's person. Oh, anyway, never mind.
Yeah. So basically, I threw lots of big units of orcs at that unit, but I snuck a few through the 2-up armor save, but they've got the banner nearby, so I gave him a 5-up DPR, and he passed too many of those, and then they just deleted loads of orcs back.
Oh, really?
But basically, the army that I was trying from turn 2 onwards, I can present my opponent with loads of orcs. So if the stars align, I can teleport a unit of 30 boys in.
Yeah.
I can mob up and then jump a unit of 40 boys in.
Yeah.
I can deep strike 20 storm boys.
Yeah.
And then I can deep strike 2 units of 5 commandos, possibly green tide another 30. And then run another unit of orcs up potentially. So that's like, so you present your enemy with like 9 inches away with almost 100 orcs.
Yeah,
maybe more than that. So that's how the list is gonna.
So swamp list.
Yeah, kind of, I guess. Yeah.
So swamp list, Tom, is this is an AOS
multiple
thing.
threat overload.
More that on the first turn, although in this case it's Nikos's turn. Effectively, what you do is you pin your opponent into, and this really works with objective-based missions more than anything else. But you pin your opponent into their objective, not for the whole game, but maybe till like turns 3 or 4, where effectively you get to that stage where you've racked up so many points in progressive missions that it's just over, and it requires like a Horde style army to do so. And that works really quite well, and it's a really interesting tactic, especially where I don't think it's necessarily Warhammer unique, but when it comes to like war gaming, when you've got your classic like flank denial, pincer moves, you've got your hammer and anvil. It's a fairly unique mechanic that you don't really get in even something like StarCraft. You can send hordes at people, but swamping them isn't something that you can do because it's normally kill as opposed to score.
Yeah.
So it's especially in progressive missions, it's a really interesting build.
And it can definitely work that way, because it's not just like turn 2, because turn 1 I could jump a unit to contain my opponent and kill. Because generally I think against that list, someone's going to need a lot of board control to screen out the deep striking and the dodge jumping and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But if I can dodge jump a unit turn 1 to clear all that, and orcs can do that really well, because if you mob up a unit of 40, you string out in a massive long line, just charge the world. Even if they die, as long as they kill the chaff screen that's in front, you're setting up later turns for the rest of your army to come in and kill things.
And just flood them. Yeah.
It is a challenging army to play, not in terms of like the mechanics, I don't think. There's not that many. I've got a few buff characters, like I've got the Nog with the banner, so +1 to hit. I've got a couple of pain boys and a couple of custom force field guys and a war boss.
Yeah.
So I've got like 6 buff characters, and then just lots of units that aren't. There's not that much variation between them. They're just 3 attacks more, 3s and 4s, or 3s and strength 4. But what is challenging, I think, is physically playing it, because it's a lot of models, a lot of movement, and like getting it out and tidying it away takes ages. So I'm trying to figure out my storage, how I can make that as efficient as possible.
Yeah.
And I think the other challenging part of it is just coordinating everything and not getting blocked up by terrain. Because in the game last night against Stu, he had his unit of Sanguinary Guard like between 2 big blocks of terrain, which turned out to be really good because I couldn't surround the unit with a big unit and get all of the attacks. So I just got it was like the hot gates with the Spartan hot gates.
Nice.
Like I just got a front narrow frontage of orcs there, and then another narrow frontage at the back, which worked out quite well for Stu, not very well for me.
Which is why you need these things to take up the smaller units.
What are these?
Those are called mech guns.
that is a crystal crime. That's what that is.
You've been working about alliteration all
No, that one came to me, which is good. So what's really interesting is, and Tom, you weren't here for it last week, but obviously I was at the Heats with the Orc list as well, and not too dissimilar realistically from the one you took. Didn't do us quite as well, so there you go. And also, I now can confess to you that having you watch me play the final game is a stress I've never felt in wargaming.
No, you're fine.
No, it's still. I know I was playing fine, but
was he standing over you going?
Yeah, no, like.
Well, you made a mistake.
Yeah,
you did make a mistake.
And I was super conscious of that. But I was just saying.
I didn't mean to be, mate. If you want me to.
No. What I mean is that's a mark of respect, I think, because there's almost no one I give a fuck watching me play Warhammer.
All right, fair enough.
But that was like being under the gaze of you was the first time I felt conscious. I've even been live on air for Games Workshop. Like we did a game
asking for nudes.
No, well,
less self-conscious.
That's a different conversation. But there was a game where it finished in the very first turn. Yeah, and then they were like, "Look, you need to go on and show people," because Alariel just died in a turn, and they were like, "Look, you need to go on and show people." And I didn't even in that situation. I was like, "Look, world, this is how you play Warhammer better than that person." Even that scenario, I was like, "Oh, this is tough." But my point is that all 3 of us now in the past 2 weeks have ended up we played quite a lot of orcs, and I think we've all gone different places. So, Tom, do you want to start with your how you feel you should move that army forward, then Nikos, and then me, and then we can discuss.
As in my list.
Yeah, what would you what do you do? What do you think your issues are really? And also, and this is problematic, don't forget that there's the game formats of ETC, ITC, and obviously Games Workshop missions as well.
I think I need to refine how I actually want to win games with it, because I have a lot of power in it. The Smasher Guns are very, very strong for gun points. The Orc Boys hit very, very hard. I've got a lot of the Orc Boys. But I don't really have one single identity of how I plan to win games, and then I'm not doubling down on that.
Right.
So what I'd be looking to do is, I don't think the Smasher Guns are a necessary basis for carrying the game like the linchpin of the list.
Yeah.
I think that falls to the boys. And the issue with the boys is trying to find a nice balance whereby you've got enough boys to carry the game for you, but not too many that you suddenly can't finish games, which is why it's really, really tricky. So what I'm looking towards doing is I'm going to be dropping a few of the mech guns until I have enough orcs that I'm happy that I've got as many boys as I can, but I can also finish games.
Right.
Nick was also mentioned the War Banner. I thought that actually being alright. I have addition as
Do
well.
you want to tell people what the Wild Banner does?
Do you want to?
So it's just it's like a 4-wound hero that has a 6-inch buff. So if a unit is within 6 inches, you get +1 to hit. So it's not wholly within, so you can string them out, daisy chain them out, get a nice buff.
Yeah. So
I think it's particularly good if someone. You generally have your orcs in a big blob under the KFF.
Yeah.
And if someone runs at you,
Yeah.
you've got you're hitting on 2s, so it's it's more dangerous to run.
Yeah, and it works and it helps you quite a lot into plague bearers as well when you hit other hordes. Because you've got the -1 to hit, -2 if they got the second power off. It's Miasma of Pestilence, which makes you hit on fire, so you don't really actually do any damage. So I am doubling down on identity again. It comes down to which identity is most effective. So this one, it doesn't really have that many bad matchups. Yeah. If I hit something like a Knight's List or a Castellan or something like that, you can't clear that many models. If I hit something like a Genestealer Cults or a Drakari, the Genestealer Cults, you clear a bunch of the orcs and I've got enough to hit back and then I just clear you. And I'm not worried enough about your pseudo-vect that it really affects me. Same with Drakari. I'm not reliant enough on stratagems that I'm that fussed about it. So I can just keep doubling down on that and it still works with the orcs. Custodes are probably the one thing I'd worry about, but if I have a decent number of smasher guns, potentially I could threaten my opponent enough and play some dank mind games whereby you can push them around. And it's nowhere near as terrain dependent as a lot of other lists as well. So it's good in heavy terrain because you can jump around between buildings and what have you.
Yeah.
But equally, if you're playing on light terrain, I mean, its durability doesn't come from being able to hide. Its durability comes from its number of models. And then you add in the versatility of, the redundancy of adding in the extra mech guns, not mech guns, big mechs and the weird boys. So even if weird boys blow themselves up, or the mech guns, or the big mechs get killed by a Castellan, Rocket, or Vindicares, which I think we might see quite a lot of, you've still got the backup of mirror as well. So it's a very versatile list. It isn't susceptible to random factors such as terrain, and generally when you're looking at the missions that appear in things like the current chapter approved, whereby it's all about board presence and being able to push around the board, it
number
does
of models
well. And board presence 100%.
So I have different feelings on
That's
it,
fine.
and I think Custodes is actually one of those interesting things that you chose there. But Nick, do you think, because so you're running, I mean, you're not running any mech guns, but you're doing more boys. And my conversation, so to give you kind of a counterpoint, and then you can weigh in with your experiences, is I found at the heats that I lost one game, so I just couldn't kill one shield captain, and it's because he was just like, I've got a 2-up save, and I have a 3-up invuln save that I'm re-rolling, and then the problem with the custom mega cannons which I had was a 36-inch range was great, but I would have always loved 48 inches. And then the loss of every shot, as stated before, every time I lost one, I lost D6 shots. Whereas if you lose Smasher Gun, I just lose D3.
Yes. And that's the presence of the Smasher Guns.
Yeah, which is the thing. So where I was thinking of going with the list that I previously had, which was 14... so it's 13 custom mega cannons and 1 tractor cannon. It was 90 boys, 2 weird knobs and 2 KFFs. I'm now probably going to go all smashers, which generates me some points back, and then looters twice.
So 18 smashers? Or?
So 18 smashers is like a definite. And I think it's because, and I'll give you my experiences as to why, and then maybe you can see how you feel about it. What I would find is to jump in or teleport in. So I would often at that stage. I mean, the nicest I think with 90 boys is you lose half of one unit, and then you deep strike the other unit. And so then in turn 2, you deep strike, to jump, and you green tide, and you're like, there's 90 boys on my line. And I did that twice, and it was effective in the right situation. But then I also found if I didn't make my charge roll, my opponent had so many options for clearing 90 boys, and because I would be like. Because where I would charge, and this could be a poor placement on my part.
You were running Goths, right?
No, I ended up running...
You did Evil Sons.
Yeah, Evil Sons, so I would get +1 to it as well. And I know that does make it more reliable, absolutely, with a reroll. But what I would find is because I would want to charge a flat, because normally the front was fairly safe for them, and sometimes I would hit it and lock up units, which I think I would do well. But they would be out if I failed the charge, which... It's not even close to 80%. I don't think it's like, what is it?
So 74, I thought.
Yes. So it's not 80. So like 75% of the time. but I found that they were just out, and then my opponent just had options to just clear them out.
Yeah.
And then they just died. And I just felt it was too reliant. And what I find odd, really, Tom, is that you're happy to have an army that's a little bit more swingy than even I am, because normally I'm the big risk, right?
This is the thing. So I acknowledge it's swinging. I play into that. So I feel like we're playing the boys a little bit differently. So you were talking about you're doing the green tide, the jump advantage.
Sometimes is what I would do. Sometimes I wouldn't, though.
I almost never do that.
Right.
Unless I'm playing another Horde army where it's going to walk into the center of the board and I've just got to hit it all in one big go and just try and break it.
Yeah.
I would take one unit of boys, identify a target that I want to hit, and hit it. Boom. There's one turn. Bam.
Yeah.
And then again. Bam. And then again. Bam. And you only ever give them one unit to kill a turn. So
my issue was, though, is in two situations. No, and I agree with you 100%. I'll give you what happened with me is I would jump a unit to go and deal with what is a threat, but then they would hit my boys with another threat because they would be dealing with theirs where they were, while at the same time simultaneously hitting one of my other units of boys. And that unit of boys is in a safer spot. But it's just a great conversation where I actually think that I think maybe I'd polarize it more like you're planning on doing and having more boys, or what I plan to do is to go, all right, I've got a gun line.
Yeah.
Let's just have more of a gun line. And 70 orcs is like maybe 90 is the minimum.
It's not insignificant.
It's not insignificant, I don't think. But I think adding the looters, because the thing I would end up doing is if I didn't have something for the custom mega cannons to shoot at, they would just be really killing some infantry. And there is always going to be 32 fucking guardsmen that need to die, and there's always going to be some admech that need to die. So I just felt adding the looters gave the other option because it's a volume of fire.
So this is really interesting because we basically started from the same premise and then gone in two different directions.
That's my point, and I think Nick has ended up at maybe a different place altogether as well.
Well, the route that I've taken with my orc army kind of comes from just how I wanted to play the army.
Yeah.
Not necessarily. I'm not maybe gone this way just because I think this is the most competitive route. I wanted to play orcs, and I wanted to play a horde of orcs because that's just how I imagine orcs, and that's fun to play, and it's different to other armies I've had. And I've also taken it more to the extreme end of the horde, like to the 177 models, because I'm planning to take that to our the team event that I'm doing with James Workshop. So I'm going to be playing the Horde list.
Yes.
So if we need a Horde list, that's what I'm
This is going to be really fun because we're both going to a team event, but on different teams.
What are you taking orcs also?
Yeah.
And then, but so you are adding more boys to it as well, right? So what, do you want to say now where you think you're going to settle?
I don't know. I never say I want to settle because I always think that when I write a list, it's as good as I think it possibly could be, and then I just play it and then I change it afterwards. So it's always possible that I just change the list. Maybe I even go down kind of your direction. I just quite like this direction because it's less reliant upon matchup, in my view, and it's less reliant upon board.
Yeah.
Whereas I think yours is a little bit more reliant on both those two things. If the board and the matchup is right for you, you'll smash it. No problem.
No, I agree with you. I think also, because my experiences are also coloured by my environment, right? I was playing at Warhammer World at Games Workshop, so there was little to no terrain that was line of sight blocking, so I could shoot what I wanted all the time. And again, that's my local, so that's my environment.
Oh,
so,
of course. Yeah.
But I felt like, especially with the going down the Smasher route for the bigger range, and one of those key elements of a game that I played with Nick with some Death Guard a few weeks ago, what I ended up doing was I tried to play fighting in a shooting game, and while I've got my boys and I go and beat up some guardsmen, which is great fun. They don't punch a Custodes shield captain to death very often.
No.
They don't punch a Castellan to death very often.
I don't know. I'm when I'm going to be taking mine to tournaments and things like that. I'm not. That is a concern, like 2-up armor saves and things like that, hard to get through. But I'm going to be more focused on just the mission, ignoring the big threats as much as I can and just playing around on the mission, if possible. With loads of models, I'm hoping that's going to be quite good.
Which is what I think you're right. I think actually adding orcs does make you play the missions better, but I didn't want to add more orcs, so I thought if I just minimise the orcs a tiny bit, not much, taking 20 orcs away, but now adding in the looters. Just hones that list into, and also I don't think people are often expecting incredibly shooty orcs. And I think that they'll play expecting to jumps, and they'll expecting deep striking. So you'll end up just having like, I don't know. I feel like it's that's my thoughts anyway. I've got to try it.
And this is the thing: when you're taking a kind of incredibly shooty orc list, you kind of have to go entirely down that route because you need to generate the CP for the looters.
Yeah.
You need to provide screen for the looters. You need to provide counter charge for the looters. You need to provide Gretchen for the looters, and then you've got your smasher guns as well, which you're adding in instead of adding in extra boys.
Yeah.
I forgot what I was about to say about the boys. That was it. So I'm not particularly worried about lobbing in 90 boys and then them all getting killed. What I'm more fussed about is if I have my 3 units of 30 here.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, I need a couple of units just in case you may come across it. I've got some counter charge there. I have to think twice about lobbing a unit in to be aggressive with it and trying to make about 75% of charge because likely it's not 100%. If I've got that 4th unit of boys, I now have some redundancy. So I can now lob that unit in, and I still have an extra unit of boys back there if I need it.
I think an interesting comparison also between the 2 lists that we ran is you were running a bunch of 48-inch guns.
Yes.
Therefore, you had the ability to sit off more than I previously did when I was using my 36-inch guns.
Yeah.
Like, so I think that's something that I lacked. Whereas, Nikos, you've got no options. You're like, I am going in.
I don't do any shooting if I don't know.
Apart from your burners. But,
Well, the current list just doesn't have any. Everyone, if anyone's got a gun, it's a pistol, and everyone's running all the time. So I very rarely. The only time I really shoot is Overwatch.
Yeah. I mean, in theory, I have the ability to sit off more and do a bit more of that. But in the environment when I was using the 48-inch guns, the terrain was really dense, and I wasn't really able to sit off. And that is potentially what's affecting my push for this, because I felt an ability that I really need to go out and grab, which is why I'm now adding in the extra boys. Maybe I could add an extra mega knobs or something, but it's quite expensive. I could do mega knobs.
You could hobby some mega knobs, Tom.
I've got some mega knobs at my max.
No,
you
at this stage, anytime you tell me that you have something, I'm terrified. Wait, is that the mega knob right there? Was that 2 mega knobs?
That's a mega.
That's Altharius, man. Come on.
Mega knob.
Yeah, there you go. On its side. Mega knob. Mech gun knob.
Okay. All right. So, do you guys got anything to add to the orc combo?
You guys aren't running Pain Boys, and I want to know why.
I just don't think it's like. So it's like, what is it? 60 something points.
60 points.
Yeah.
Fairly decent in combat, and gives you a 6-up DPR save. Keeps them boys alive a little bit longer. And if your heroes take a few, if there's the assassins running around sniping off your heroes, take a few wounds, they can heal them up.
Right. Okay, so here's why. 60 point of pain boy, right?
Yeah.
I've got him in between 2 squads.
Or 3 or 4.
Let's say 2, because I want to lob my
Let's say 2.
How many boys am I saving?
You're saving 10
I'm
in total.
saving 10.
Yeah.
That's 10 points extra.
Yeah.
A lot of games I prefer just have the 9 boys.
I think I'd prefer to have the boys as well for utility, because also what you're doing is you're paying points under the assumption that your opponent's going to hit you. So like you're adding and with the custom force field, I think that's that's a smart decision because you're mitigating damage that you're coming in. But the pain boy is an extra inclusion, expecting you to take the damage, and in order to get the most utility,
you get the 5-up invulnerable save and then the 6-up save as well.
No, I hear what you're saying. What I'm saying is if you aren't in range to be hit, let's say, or you're playing to be in the positions where you're doing what you need to do, the pain boy might not be there. Because it's another element to add in that you're paying points for the use. This is just my thoughts, like why I never thought to use. This is for me. So having them be in the right place at the right time, that's problematic. Or you're just hoping in the first turn your opponent doesn't just try and delete 60 boys. And if they've got the capacity to delete 60 boys, I don't think having 10 boys left over till turn 2 is going to be overly impactful.
Well, I think because the green tide strategy was really, really good for orcs. I feel that having the pain boy in there makes it more just a little bit more likely that you're going to have 1 knob left to green tide.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah.
But then I'm also like scraping around for points realistically, because just like you two have said, you're like, Tom's going to drop smasher guns to get more boys. And also you're like, you've got so many boys, whereas I'm like, I'm dropping boys because I want to get more guns. So we're all going down different routes, and you're already capped out. So you might as well add in a pain boy because it's probably the most impactful in your list.
I'm not even saying it's a bad choice. Actually, I actually quite like the pain boy, but it's just another one of those things where I don't like building any form of variance into my list. Whereas the Pain Boy does do its job, but its job isn't necessarily useful in every single game. Because you not only have the instances where you're not going to be getting hit as much on the backline Orc units, but you're also going to be having instances where Vindicares and Castellans are popping up. And I don't really want to be taking 2 or 3 Pain Boys just in case of redundancy.
Yeah, that's a good point. So I think that's probably a good place to move on to that conversation, right? But if you've enjoyed that bit of Orcs, just feel free. There'll be more of that conversation, I'm sure, as we're going on. The other thing to... So with the release now of White Dwarf, can't believe I'm saying that because I hate it. A small statement from me. I hate that rules are released inside White Dwarf.
Have you seen the stratagems, my words?
I think it's dumb. Because can I buy a digital copy of White Dwarf and then get them that way?
Yeah.
Good. I'll probably use my photographic memory.
I did that in my degree.
This photographic.
You tell me as well, and I'll remember.
Photographic suka.
In order to get it. But have you seen the rules for assassins and the stratagems that have come out in have been leaked for the most recent White Dwarf?
I have not.
I have not because I have got the latest White Dwarf.
And have you read it?
No. But I've seen bits. I know the assassins are 85 points.
Yes.
I know you can pile in one of them 6 inches, and you can double fight it.
You can double shoot one.
Yeah.
If that makes you cool. Most importantly, what you can do is you can spend... If you, Tom, take a list that is minus the amount of points that an assassin would cost, you can spend a CP to then buy that assassin in. And it's not... and you don't have to put on your army list, obviously TO dependent, what that assassin is going to be. What you can do is you can literally utilize based on your opponent. So if you do want to kill a character, then you can take the sniper, and if you do want to go and deal with psychic powers,
if you just want any good model, you take the Colexus because it's the best model in the game.
Well, there's that. And Aladril saying the Eversaw for life. But effectively, what you can do is you can have an Imperium army already that's already very good, and then you can add in an assassin if and when you need it.
How do you unlock the assassin stratagems?
You literally just pay a command point for an assassin.
How do you unlock these stratagems?
No, that's it.
Oh, okay then. I take it you have to be Imperium though. I take it you have to be Imperium though, right?
Yeah, surely.
Yes.
I'm not
unless Cypher's your warlord.
Alright,
in which case you can be Chaos with assassins.
Really?
He's got the Imperium keyword.
Oh, yeah.
As long as your warlord has got the Imperium keyword.
Wow,
and cool. Cypher has it.
That's cool.
Yeah, I don't know if that will survive an FAQ.
Well, if Mental Onslaught can, that can too.
Agreed. We'll get on to Genestealer Cults in a moment. And please, everyone, let us know what you think. Just to see what the guys in this chat are saying here. Alandro says, Eversaws for life. Longshot Lot says, I like the Assassin's got more stuff, but I hate the pre-game list tailoring. So effectively, you've got a sideboard for 40k.
15 assassins, 12 assassins on it.
Well, at least paying the points for 2, because the ability to do having 2 snipers that will very reliably kill characters.
Well, yeah.
Or two. Go on.
Or 2 collectors, because if you only have one, you're not blocking both sides.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All right. That's my point.
It's always all good things come in 2s. I don't know.
World Wars?
3s, I think.
3s is the usual for wargaming.
I don't know. We kill assassins.
Okay, assassins. The good assassins always come in 2s.
They come in 2s.
Okay.
Two balls. Here you
go. Flaming Farmer says, waiting on everyone to join the assassin bandwagon, says Flaming Farmer. Camelot says, I've changed my finals list to take a tailored assassin.
Is he in a suit?
Yeah. Alan just says it's not TO dependent. The time in the stratagem and need to use the reinforcement point is clear. Adding in reaction. Alan Troll, I know what I meant by TO dependent is because something like this probably will get the goat up of some TOs and they may house rule it.
Yeah.
I would but maybe not. Because it's a pretty big buff for just one of the factions, right? For Imperium.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I know for a fact that my Orc list is fairly... I hate shield breaker missiles against my Orc army.
This is why you take 3 mechs and 3...
yeah, exactly, right? You've got that redundancy, but then when they can add in 2 assassins on top...
It was heartbreaking watching you lose your big mech first shot of a game in that final game.
The first shot.
You were so sad. I'm going to CP reroll that. 6. Alright, fine.
It's I hate that stratagem because it's a no skill, no use stratagem, right? Like it's just dumb. Like I ignore line of sight, I ignore your invulnerable save.
I ignore everything.
Yeah. Although but then there's also a capacity to have in the first round. Sorry, we'll say on the assassins. I'll read what everyone's saying. Hey JJ, number 10. The strat to get an assassin can only be done once per game. 40k, and it's at the start. I'm pretty certain, so you can have more than one. I thought, but I'll double check. Hermanus says tournament this weekend. 3 assassins to paint. We'll probably have to focus on one, but not sure which. And 3 Vindicator will be fun just to delete HQ at range.
If you're not sure which one collects, this is specifically the first time.
Yes. There's also another stratagem and another thing. What it does is it doubles the cost of stratagems used in the
Calidus.
first turn, and you can have that extend to the second turn.
You can use it at any other in any further turn. No?
Yeah.
So you can use it in turn 1 and 3, or turn 1 of.
So Vect would cost you 8 points.
Yeah.
Worth
it.
That's pretty cool.
That's probably one of the stronger ones in my opinion.
Yeah.
I thought it was +1 to the cost, not double.
I thought it was double.
Let's have a double check. It used to be +1.
Oh, so thank you guys. Yeah, so you can only use it the once. The strat itself says you can only use it the one time.
That's fine. Whatever.
Yeah.
One
So-
collects is still good.
But isn't that good?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really pog.
That would be terrifying because then you're like, I'm going to... Especially, Nick, that old list that you would run where you would just spend so many command points in that first turn.
What, the plasma list?
Yeah.
Like, +1 to breathe and shoot twice.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be 4.
Yeah, it is +1.
6 command points. So
Ow.
3.
So it's only +1.
Oh, okay,
Not
so that'd
double.
be
Is it not double?
Nah.
Well, then I've been misinformed.
Lies.
Via my photographic device.
Misremembered.
Misremembered it. So +1 CP. Alright, that's not anywhere near as good.
It's still 5 CP for a Vect.
Nah, it's not. I don't think so. I don't think it's good now. Double would be good. Double's interesting. +1's on a 4+.
Like, that's 1 battalion for a...
Yeah, I'm not into that. But what do you guys think so far about those coming out? You haven't
Cool.
seen them, so you don't know.
Now give me my Yanari.
Why?
Because you've got all your little characters have got extra rules. Give me mine. In fact, no, actually, don't touch the Yanari. Yanari are fine as it is. Leave them alone, please.
Yeah, but it doesn't use up a detachment slot, so effectively you can have like a 4th detachment
Yeah.
in an Imperial army.
I think it's pretty cool because it means that everyone who's got loads of assassins already has got rules to use them in their army.
Okay.
So I think they seemed quite hard to squeeze in before because you had to have
Yeah.
a separate detachment for them. Yeah, so if you could just bang an assassin in your army, it's pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Okay. Fair enough. What does Twitch chat think? Miss November, which you prefer, Rob? Miss November or Miss Remember? I prefer Miss November. She's the best. Longshot Lockley, I think it's another case of rules writers drinking too much coffee.
I don't drink coffee. Get me on it, boys.
Well, I think also coming out in White Dwarf, I don't know. Like, it's kind of nice for those smaller factions, like Assassins, where maybe you wouldn't want to buy a big printed codex just for that. But at the same time, the ability to, as long as there's a digital version, then that's fine.
Imperium players, though, they've got to carry the most books.
Yeah, they've got to carry the most books, but they also have to carry all of those victories along with them as well. And also, if you want to be silly, you can take 3 of one assassin, then circumnavigate the rule of 3 to add the 4th that way.
Oh yeah.
Oh baby!
Break the rules.
You gonna do that?
Vindicate? No.
No.
Why would I need 4 Vindicators?
Make sure all of the characters are dead.
Yeah.
All the ones that are in the open. None of them.
But you also make sure they're never out in the open.
Right. Oh no, now my company commander can't walk out of this bit of terrain. How am I going to win the game now? Whatever.
Okay, alright. So, interesting. When we do actually fully read them, then we'll do an actual review. Is that cool with you guys?
Yep.
Alright, nice.
That'd be cool.
So then, now, Genestealer Cults.
GFC.
Right, so who would like to start us off? So again, it's not going to be a full review of the army, but we're going to look at some elements of it.
Tis impossible.
Tis but impossible.
This is the news bit.
This is the news part. Because the FAQs come out today, so we can finally start to actually break them apart into...
Well, you say this, the most interesting thing about the FAQ drop was how it was done.
Yeah.
Because suddenly 2 FAQs appeared, and neither of them were listed on the Games Workshop page.
Do you mean what they didn't publicly announce them? Is what you mean?
I know I had 2 different links to Genestealer Cult FAQs, both with the Games Workshop domain name. One of them had a nerf to Mass Hypnosis, I think.
Yeah.
And one of them had a nerf to Mental Onslaught.
Okay.
and the one that is on the one with the hit to mass hypnosis or whatever it was, the change to mass hypnosis, is the one that's currently on the website, and the change to mental onslaught was never made into live.
So maybe there was a beta one uploaded and then they swapped it for another one.
Which confused me because the way that what they did with mental onslaught was it capped the number of wounds you could do at 6. And the way mental onslaught works is it works like death grip for knights, but with leadership checks. So you'd roll off, and then if you match or beta, I think, you take a mortal wound. But Genestealer Cults have multiple ways to change leadership characteristics. So you can take it, mental onslaught goes in the Patriarch. You can increase its leadership to 12 or 13, I think. You would decrease the leadership value of a Castellan down to 7. And then because it's a roll-off, you both roll at the same time. If you roll a 1, your opponent rolls a 6, which would break it. You can just CP reroll the 1. So basically, you just keep doing that until the enemy Castellan takes 27 wounds and dies.
Yes, 28.
Oh, I'm deeply sorry.
Yeah, it's okay. Just want to make sure you kill it dead.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't want to leave it on that one wound.
Yeah, and you can't even use. You can't even take.
MMX James says, "Why my community confirmed mental onslaught nerf FAQ was an error, so it's unchanged." However, I did happen to speak to MMX James earlier, who previously was running Genestealer Cults to some success, and you can listen to his podcast that Tom did. An interview
I need
with.
to get another interview or something.
It would be nice to see how he feels about the new changes, but I did get to talk to him earlier to ask, and he said that while some people may feel like it's a little bit ridiculous, he's been able to do it like one time and kill a shield captain. So not really.
In theory, it's horrendous, but it's one of those things where you have to prepare for it.
Wombo combo.
It's an absolute wombo combo,
yeah.
But surely a reason to play the army in of itself just for the full wombo combo.
If you're playing against pure knights, maybe you can get it off there. You
can't not also delete a horde because you keep doing mortal wounds into the horde, right?
To a model.
Oh, a model.
I thought it was to a model. But so with the I was going down there. With the Adeptus Mechanicus.
I burn Magnus to death. So the Adeptus,
you can try. It's a psychic power though, so it might be difficult. So with the Adeptus Mechanicus that people are often taking with the knights, with the Grya, which gives you a stratagem for 4+, deny psychic power in 24. You can't even do that because it's just going to get Cult of a 4-hour for a stratagem. So you can't even get that stratagem off.
Which we all expected it to be FAQ'd up to be 4 command points.
Well, yes.
But they've just said it's once per game instead. So you can vect as many times as one, but you can only do that once per game, but it costs 3.
That's weird.
Yeah.
It is a bit weird.
Why?
I feel like that they've done that just so they didn't get the piss taken out of them for releasing it at 3 and then having to immediately FAQ it later. I think they've released it as 3
you can't
and gone,
I'm embarrassed.
Oh, look, we're not going to do that. We're probably going to take the piss. So we'll change it in a different way.
Oh, we forgot this is different.
Yeah, because I think even in the little FAQ answer thing, they put this was released, like the change to Vect was made before this or after this was printed.
Yeah.
So it was So I think had the timing been right, they would have released it as 4 CP, but because they printed it before they changed Vect to 4, it was already 3. And they kind of said, well, we just changed it in a different way. I think instead of being consistent, they've done something different.
When did the big FAQ come out? September?
The most recent
second one, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And that was changed to 4.
Yes.
Yeah.
So they changed it in September. So and then they obviously had to send it to
6 months is the lead time.
Six.
So it goes to print 6 months before.
You don't have to do that.
No, that's how they do it, because what they do is they do it in China, which is as cheap as possible, and then it comes over on a ship.
My degree is in publishing.
So
you don't need to do it that early, but if they do, then fine.
That's what they do.
Yeah.
If that gives you any, so like,
no, that's fine.
So whatever we get in the summer, for instance, will already be on a boat, or not on a boat, in a printing factory, and then on a boat.
Yeah.
So it's because you got to think about it from their side.
We need to get some spies.
We need to go to China.
Well, yeah, China.
Rob can't come because Rob needs to, because of the food options.
They don't. They're not very veggie friendly. Dude Arday is also donated 100 bits to you. Dry as sticks, Nikos.
Is that for the Tesseract Vault Fund?
I don't know what it's for. This is just dry as sticks, Nikos. So yeah, in my opinion, so no, that's what they do. So because it's the cheapest way, right? That it's not coming over. They're not like get it printed and then the fastest boat. They're like, what's the slowest tugboat in the whole of the world? Get it on that.
They don't even send it via a boat because the people who are sailing the boat could be, pirates. Somali pirates might get hold of the boat. So they send it on a bicycle, cycled by a Chinese boy, across the continent.
Yeah, that's how it gets here. That's how it gets here.
It's just this massive pile of brown boxes.
That's what JJ said, it's just a rowboat. It's just one kid.
It's just one kid.
rowing
It's like
1,000 codexes.
It's like Podrick from Game of Thrones. Not Podrick.
Imagine how disappointed the Somalian pirates would be.
Hey, what boy, Phil. So effectively, it's via the cheapest route and therefore the slowest route.
What's the shipping route from China to the UK? We're going to hijack a boat, boys. We're going to go get them.
They're probably Warmer Horde's boat pilots, so not interested in Games Workshop.
And then it's going to be like a Yunari Codex with 4 units in it.
No, they did actually. They've already made that, but because some of the players were Grey Knights players, what they did is they just tipped the canisters into the sea.
What happened?
Yeah, they're just gone.
What happened to all the guys saying, "Yeah, Grey Knight's going to be really good after chapter approved"? Where did they go?
Maybe just take a big tall sip on this drink. Dude, our day is also saying, buy some lead belcher, Nikos. 100 bits for you. Buy some lead belcher.
Okay.
Okay, so the FAQs come out, and again, we're not going to approach it in. I think let's just look at it top down.
Yes.
Yeah. Right. Number one, like first question is: do you think the army itself does anything unique that other armies don't do?
Yes.
And that would be
the way it deploys.
Okay.
There we go.
But no, sorry. What I mean that then impacts the game. Like, is in how you will play or having to tailor your armor list because you're like, oh, that brings a new element to the game.
Oh, yeah, 100%. So, one of the reasons I don't like looters, for example, is there's now 2 armies that you can run into that can block a grot shield and then remount your looters.
You can just deep strike them, though, right?
The looters?
Yeah.
Yeah, fine, but now I've got 2 turns fewer of looters.
Ooh, 1 turn fewer.
Drop them on turn. Depends when you're coming in.
Yeah, it does. It's true.
Yeah.
It's true. But, well, it means...
Because if you're going first and you drop a looter's turn 2, then all the Genestealer Cults stuff is dropping. You're now going to get your looters killed. Unless you're dropping him in behind a grot screen, and it's just the same problem again.
Could put them in a Chinook, and then they kill you, and then you jump out the Chinook.
All right, but the point... So the point is that you don't like what because of why? Because we weren't talking about looters, we were talking about Genestealers.
Well, you were saying, do they do anything unique that impacts the game? And the access to a second block your stratagem
right
adds in an extra factor.
Yeah, so literally it's 100% increase in building only CP orientated armies.
Yeah,
because they're going to be able to stop that.
It's more reasons why you can't rely on stratagems.
Okay, good. That's a good argument. Anything else? Do we think the deep striking mechanic that they have is impactful in any way, or just a
yeah. Oh,
cool.
Yeah, definitely.
You want to go for it?
Well, they've got, if you deep strike in your Genestealers, one of the
put them underground.
Put them underground. Put your Genestealers underground. They've got one of the stratagems is because they've got rid of the table, haven't they?
Yeah.
There's no table anymore. Everything that can ambush is just 9 inches away. But then the table is now stratagems, basically. So you can add. So when you pop up, you can have a shoot, or you can go an extra D6. So I think a lot of people will be using that for your Genestealers. Pop your Genestealers up, go an extra D6, then your charge is shorter.
I think you're right in theory. I just think you'll see it with Aberrants rather than Genestealers.
Yeah. So
Aberrants are a really, really strong glass cannon. They can fight twice. You can stick a Hypermorph in there, which gets you a load of attacks, which does quite a lot of work. It also kind of forces you to change the way that you screen, because you've got the 2 stratagems. One which is you move D6 when you come up, and another one which is you are placed within just outside of 3 inches. And it's just a straight flat 3 inches, not a 9 inches.
But you can't
move.
charge after that one.
You can't, but what you do is you drop down between your hand flamers and you barbecue a load of stuff. Also, the Genestealer Cults character pool is one of the deepest and strongest character pools in the game.
And and complex.
Oh yeah.
So as an opponent, I would make yourself aware of. I'd make yourself aware of the character pool, because actually they've got some odd names which haven't been in the game before, so that's something you got to learn. And they all look amazing, but they're all quite small on small bases. Yeah. So while you got to make sure that you're hitting the right one that you need to clear for it to do the job that it's doing, because they all do different things, right?
Yeah, it's normally just changes. So you've got one which you declare against a unit, and that one's reroll to wound against it, and there's another one which is reroll 1s against this unit, and +1 to charge with this unit, and -4 each with this one, +1 to hit with this unit, and it's basically just like a veritable buffet of whatever kind of buffs.
Yeah.
Buffet. you want for your army.
I appreciate you explaining it to
There
me.
you go. I just didn't.
It slid under the radar.
No, it was really good. It was really good. You could say you ambushed me with it.
Buff A. There we go. That's better. We'll take that one. We'll take that one. So yeah, it reminds me a little bit. I don't know why, of Demons back in 5th edition,
Right.
whereby they'd come in waves, and they'd always deep strike. So basically, you'd give them the first turn, so they'd come down, and you could hit them.
See, I personally don't think that they're going to be very impactful. I agree.
Really?
I actually think what you've just said is very articulate. I think the ability to increase how many times I'm going to not be able to use a stratagem. But then I was never really a stratagem orientated gamer anyway.
Here's my looter army.
Yeah, well, I don't. I think the looters are still okay even without the strats. Right, they just become bananas with them realistically. But I mean, I'd like to do Green Tide. All day long.
Yeah.
And in previous games or tournaments that I've used, like when I used the Harleys one time, the strats were cool. And also when I used the Bullgrins, the strat to make them have a 2-up invulnerable save was quite important, so I wanted that to exist. But I never really orientated my army around stratagems realistically, so I never was too stressed. But it's a really good argument because most 40k people play that and orientate that way. For me, I think the thing that so they've got high mobility in deep striking.
The jackals.
Yeah, they've got high mobility but they've
in the bikes.
Yeah, man.
But they've got high mobility. But then I already am playing in an environment where there are armies with high mobility. Eldar.
Check the strats.
Yeah. Right. So I'm like, I'm already playing in that environment, so they're not adding anything new there.
Eldar's a weird one. I'm not entirely sure how good a position Eldar's in right now.
No, I'm making comparisons.
I know.
Yeah.
But the speed that Eldar rely on is that they have a lot of speed that they can utilise to hit one section of someone's army. And if the whole thing is just a homogeneous brick, which is guaranteed to either get an alpha or is going to be able to soak up the damage and hit you back, it doesn't really actually do that much to you. So taking let's say you take 3 units of Shining Spears, you're 12-inch range in all your damage.
Yeah.
You push them up, you can maybe try and kill a unit and then bounce back 22 inches again. But a lot of these armies now, for example Orcs, it's very, very difficult to get far enough away or to even kill a whole unit. So I'm not sure how good a position Yunari particularly is.
I'm more meant. So while Yunari, and I think
I'm talking about the speed against.
Yeah, I think that's a solid point. I think as a matchup dependent, that's interesting. But I'm just talking about everyone at home. Like, what do they do, Genestealer Cults specifically, that make you think, okay, that's a different way for me to think for build my whole army? Because that's one of the interesting things that came up with the 2 new battle tomes from AOS. That like. It was only really in having to review them that then I thought, actually, that's a really good show. That's what me and Nathan did on Monday. So I thought we could try and do the same thing here.
Yeah.
Where, what do they do that's different that in any way makes me think, well, actually, that now is out? Like, and I don't think mobility is an issue, but I do think first turn being places where I wasn't expecting them to be is something new. But then you get Eldar redeploying, which is super impactful.
It forces you to do one of two things.
Yep.
Build an extra redundancy, because you know you're going to lose stuff.
Yep.
Or build an extra screening.
Yeah.
Because otherwise you're just going to lose something incredibly valuable.
Yes.
Maybe it encourages you to take things like the Chaos Spawn that we did a rundown on ages ago.
You love your
Because they're a great unit for this type of thing, aren't they? Because they're a little cheap 33-point model that can deny a big area on the board.
Apart from for the one unit that
the 3 inches away. Apart from the 3 inches away strap.
One,
yeah. But
it's still extra cheap screening. But and even then, you've got the Amble that you can add in as like a 4th Chaos Spawn. I mean, you can only admittedly add one Amble in to a list realistically because one Amble takes up an entire detachment by itself.
What's an Amble?
So it's an unaligned,
yeah.
It's an unaligned unit which is like toughness 6, 7 wounds. It's got Feel No Pain. Got save.
Oh, is it the insect thing?
Yeah.
Oh, that's a really cool model.
Yeah, it's an elite choice though. So you have the only detachment you can actually put it in is a support auxiliary detachment because it's got to have the same keyword as everything else in there.
Right. Yeah.
Because you've got
nothing
no
else
HQ
like
choice.
it.
No, there's no over HQ.
Yeah.
Is it a character?
I don't know.
No, I don't think so. But anyway, moving on.
But it's just another one of these Chaos Spawn type things that you can be using to screen.
So MMX James says, and I think this is a good point, it's going to affect how you play by potentially putting 1,500 points in reserve and nothing to fight really messes with people. So yeah, you might be able to do like some really good damage in the first turn, but effectively they'll put all of their key elements off the board. And with their being able to not wipe people now by killing all their stuff, that actually poses some problems. But I don't think...
Can they get round can they get round the having to have half of your stuff on the board? Deep striking thing.
Yeah.
Yes, because you use blips.
Blips,
so they're
because the blips are on the board.
On the board.
Yeah, blips are on the board.
I mean, you can take some off with the stratagem again.
Yeah, Camelot's made a good point. Auspex scan is going to make some major use against the Cults.
I'm not sure it is.
I don't think so either, because I think you would have to be a poor player.
To start with Auspex scan, you have to be within 12 inches, so it's more like the forewarned that Eldar get. Secondly, with the Auspex scan, you have to declare it as soon as the unit is placed. So what you can do is say, I've placed this unit, would you like to Auspex scan against it? And then you keep doing that all the way up and up and up and see how greedy they're going to get with it. And most of the time, it's not going to hit your most valuable unit unless you're dropping it into infantry.
I don't
and then you
think
just kill them all.
It's only infantry units anyway.
I personally, I think also maybe not sadly, but I think with orcs already being there and people asking themselves, how do I clear so much toughness 3x? Like with whatever save it's going to have. You know, some stuff's toughness 3, some stuff is toughness 4, right? Like, sorry, toughness 4, with me having to clear that many toughness 4 bodies already, and that being inside your army list, I think Genestealer Cults pop up and they're like, okay,
literally pop up.
They literally pop up, and then someone's like, don't worry, I've already put the tools in this army to deal with you, but I've done it with other green boys, not just you weird-headed freaks. So I don't think that they pose an issue in that direction, personally, which is why maybe what you were saying with aberrants,
and hypermorphs.
And hypermorphs potentially is a better, or maybe a more interesting.
They're still a glass cannon.
Yeah.
But they get to fight twice with a stratagem, I believe, and they get to fight when they die with another stratagem. And they are an exceedingly command point hungry army, though, Genestealer Cults.
Yeah, I think so.
You need to build that way, but.
Yeah. So one of the other things that I saw that I think is really impactful is you're going to be able to have with access to Brood Brothers, you've got conscript squads who are going to be able to be fearless again. So they're going to be
mortars in as well.
Huh?
You can add mortars in as well.
You can add mortars in as well. So 40 blobs of conscripts that no longer take battle shot tests again, just like in the olden days. How do you feel about that?
It feels like orcs, man.
It feels like orcs are the answer. Is that what you mean?
Well, orcs don't really take morale checks that much.
Not really, no. So you don't think that's a problem?
It's just more fearless bricks, man. Like I was saying like a couple of months ago that a lot of the best armies are probably going to end up being pseudo fearless hordes that can walk in at the center of a board and stand on your objectives.
Yes.
This is just not one of those things.
No, but no, it's an additional one of those things.
Yeah.
It's kind of like what we were saying with Vect in the Genestealer Cult version. So it doubles the amount because there aren't loads of fearless hordes. There aren't loads. There are some.
You might see a few, but it depends on the production meta that you often talk about.
Yeah.
I feel like if the production meta wasn't necessarily a thing and everyone had unlimited access to all models ever, you might see a few more.
Also, Tom, do you know what a concept army is?
I can probably have a guess, but I don't think I get it right.
Okay, so Nikos, do you want to explain a concept army before I give it a go? Or what do you think it is?
Like painting wise.
Yeah.
Is it like a mech?
It's kind of like a mech hunter.
Like a colour
least got
scheme.
Yeah.
It's where someone can't be asked to paint a model properly.
Nailed it.
So they maybe spray it black and grey and dry brush it white and then paint the weapons red.
Yeah, done. It's exactly. So what it is, Tom?
Oh, right.
He's got it exactly right. So what it is a bunch of like quite good painters. Yeah. Well, they'll paint one model really, really nice, and then what they'll do is they'll turn around to an army that they want to take to a tournament, and then they'll dry brush it, and then they'll just pick out one detail and do it in a fancy colour, and then they'll say that they have created a concept army. Yeah, and then all the other painters they give them a round of applause and say, "Oh, really well done! You've dry brushed that to like an absolutely
So someone I played against someone at the Heats. I can't remember. Well, no, he was a really nice guy, fantastic guy, and his army looked all right. But it was a concept army. It was a Custodes army, and the concept was that there were statues that had come to life. So he sprayed his Custodes grey, dry brushed them, and then he put some blood in the eyes that was dribbling down the eyes.
Yeah,
and that was it.
We have had this
really easy to paint.
You weren't around for this. Yeah. We had a certain player who you will know, but I'm going to leave him unnamed.
Yeah,
was taking an Aegis defense line to an event. He sprayed it black, and he literally painted 3 different coloured stripes across the front of the Aegis Defense.
That's not even a concept, though.
That's not a concept. That's just 3 colour minimum. See, this is the thing that the 40k community might not be aware of because it's an Age of Sigmar thing, right? So what you should do, Tom, not your mech guns because they're gross and you should be put in prison.
Fuck you.
But what you do is you take an army like Genestealer Cults, you get all of the units that you need, and then you literally dry brush them and pick out one colour, and then in a high-minded fashion you take really high-end photos of them in like a light box, and then you proudly say, check out my new concept army. They're underground.
But,
See,
but
it particularly works for Genestealers, right?
Yeah, but the colour that the spot colour that you use has to be like something that shouldn't be. So let's say you paint metal black or red.
Yeah.
So it has to be something that's not normal. If that makes sense.
Yeah. He's right.
Can't you just
paint
get
the weapons metal? You paint the metals blood red or something like that.
Surely you could just get 3 different like kind of light colours.
Yeah.
Spray all your models with them and say, look, it's a ghosty army.
Also that. You can also do that. And Symbol says concept armies are still an improvement a lot on the technically 3 colour armies, which I think is true, which is fine. And the Dinotitan just says, that would never work for me. It's like telling a girl how good some other date was and then tell her that dating her was great even though it never happened. That's his example. Concept armies.
Oh, nice.
Frank's not a fan of concept armies. Just paint your shit.
He really does not like it. That's some strong language.
And then Smackweasel says there was a fellow turned up to Sterling with flocks of crystals and square bases. but it's like that, Tom. But unlike you, completely leaning into your awful hobby crime.
Hey, it's better than Simon's. Fuck you.
All right, okay, but even though it's better than what you've done, what you'll be able to do is proudly own it and just go, nah, man, these are painted. Like when you don't get full paint
Concept
scores
conversion.
for your painted army. Yeah, when they come over and they go, no, sorry, you've dry brushed this and added 1 colour. You say, no, this is like I'm entering this for the painting competition.
I got 2 votes for best army. It doesn't work.
Okay.
Yeah, bollocks.
Frank says Tom and Simon are hobby terrorists. I think that's true. You should.
Simon's worse than me. Simon's worse than me.
You should maybe start yourselves
he's on
like a
another one
hobby
at the minute.
Facebook page called the #HobbyCriminals or something.
Recently.
And then only put up pictures of the awful rubbish that you guys make.
I'm gonna send him a message. Right.
Anyway, sorry. So let's get back to Genestealer Cults. And obviously also because they're underground, you could dry brush them grey, pick out 1 colour.
Just spray them black because it's underground and it's dark.
And then grey brush them grey.
No.
No.
Glossy black.
Midnight. Only.
It's pitch black.
Pitch black.
Pitch black,
Pitch
can't
black
see.
underground.
And then just pick out 1 colour.
It's you just see a silhouette, glossy black paint. Love it. We love some black gloss.
Anyway, so what else do the Genestealer Cults do that we think? So we talked about the conscript blobs, and the like we've said before, they already exist in the game, so they should be manageable.
It depends on how big a blob you can access.
How many blobs you can also play.
I
And also when they can take orders and they can shoot that much. They're pretty solid anti-infantry as well.
I actually don't think that'll be where you build Genestealer Cults even with the conscript blobs.
But you could.
You could. I don't think you will.
It's like with deep striking. Like the best option might not be doing any deep striking at all. It would seem weird to go against what their natural strengths are, but like.
So Brood Brothers detachments do not gain detachment abilities listed in Codex Astra Militarum, such as regimental doctrines, nor can they use any regiment-specific stratagems, orders, etc.
From Codex Astra Militarum.
Yeah.
Do you know where else there are orders?
Are they in the index?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Do you know where else they are? In the Forge Order Index specifically.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Fucking hell.
So there you go.
What if I told you there's an index?
What if I told you I could read that and break it in 1 minute? So deep striking, they've got some pretty decent combat weapons as well, realistically.
Yeah.
But do we think combat has got its day at the minute, or do we think it's not?
Had its day, or
Like it's got its day. Like for instance, we've got grotesque blobs, and Talos as well. And actually, if you can get the right weapon loads out into them, you can do the job that you need to do.
And we did see at the LCO when James was on, when he was playing against Con, his Aberrant messed up grotesques.
Yeah, one aberrant. Yeah, messed
The
up.
stop signs.
Well, was it an abhorrent actually that did it?
There's an abominant.
Abominant, thank you.
Character.
It was an abominant, and he ended up like absolutely like tanking out a unit of grotesque. So that's my point. Like, do we think that the answer to like grotesques and Talos, which are fairly problematic, could be something like that? But then they're the only people that are bringing those sorts of units.
I think the only way it would be an issue for them is just clogging them down with too many units. Because at the end of the day, you can, if you screen out properly, you can only charge like one unit or whatever. And then you hit it with like 30 attacks from the Talos, and then they die. So, well, there we go. So, I don't know.
You don't know?
It might just be too many units. It entirely depends on the mission pack.
So you played against them already, right? Genestealer Cults?
Yes.
At that tournament?
Yeah.
And then what were your thoughts?
They hit me, they killed a lot of orcs. Normally I should be able to kill them back and still have orcs left and clear my face, and then I can go and get his backline.
Yeah. And that's what happened in that
The
game.
thing that needs to come down needs to do enough damage to you. And the way you mitigate that damage is through redundancy and screening. So if you can plan ahead and include that redundancy and screening, you should be fine.
Okay.
But often a lot of list concepts don't allow for that.
Right.
So...
Yeah, especially things like Marines, right?
Yeah,
where you where you problematically don't. I mean, you can obviously soup in and then develop screens, and arguably two of the better ones in the game.
I did write quite a list I was quite happy with. So it was a lieutenant on bike, not a lieutenant, right? Lieutenant with jump pack, Shrike, then 3 squads of max scout bikers.
Yeah,
so it's like 27 scout bikers because they always get bolter drill. So you can move. You don't get the pre-game move for being Raven Guard though because you're not infantry. And then you can, that's for like 1,000 points. So the remaining 750, you can take screens of rhinos and scouts and then assassins. And you've still got a lot of firepower kicking out of those bikes. Because they've got 4 shots each, remember, and you've got 27 of them. And they're re-rolling to hit and they're re-rolling once to wound.
Yeah, bolter bikers are crazy now.
Not as good as Deathwatch bikers, though.
They're not as good as Deathwatch bikers. But you can still build a list that, I think every faction has a way to build a list that can do okay into Genestealer Cults. The problem is if you're building a list that does okay into Genestealer Cults, does it do well into the wider meta?
Well, that's what I was asking because if the army as released, has something like, if you were to take all Eldar out of the game conceptually would look very, very different. Or if you just took the Castellan out of the game, now the Crusader is also a very good shooting Imperial Knight, but it doesn't have some of the sheer volume of things that the Castellan could do. For instance, having a Castellan means you can also wipe out a Warlord.
Yeah, I think the Crusader can take out as much, if not more, chaff than the Castellan, but it can't take out big things.
Exactly, right? So like... But so if you were to take Castellan out of the gaming landscape of 40k, how different would our army list be? It's really, with the inclusion of Genestealer Cults, how different our army list is going to be. And I don't think the infantry that they add into the game, even though it maybe will be closer and could do damage to you before, I don't think what it's going to do is anyway more game. I don't think it's different to anything else we've already experienced or seen, or you probably already have to prep for. That's my thoughts off the bat. What do you think? Because I would like to, because if something crazy came out, I would go, fuck, and they probably will kill a lot of my orcs. That's kind of why I'm worried going down to 70. I'm like, well, these guys are going to pop up and can kill quite a few orcs, realistically, and they threaten my looters, which is a good point, and maybe why you've identified a weakness. But I think there's quite a few things that can do that amount of DACA, realistically. There's still going to be Custodes bikers. There's going to be still squad 6 of them that are just, they'll wipe out 30, maybe 60 orcs in a turn.
Yeah.
So,
and I think the difference is with them and Genestealer Cults, they can do it turn 1. Can Genestealer Cults wipe out all those orcs turn 1, or do they need to do it turn 2?
They can do it on the time of drop, yes.
Yeah. They can
or you could even stagger your drop.
With the blips? So they can...
Well, you've got the blips and mortars, so turn 1 you just hit them with mortars, turn 2 you then hit them with the screen removal, which is going to be things like the hand flamers. And then turn 3 you hit them with the things like the aberrants and potentially jackals. I actually really, really like jackals because it's a stratagem that allows them to throw all their grenades like a poo bomb, and then move.
And it does a huge amount of damage.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, if it works. Yeah. But that also isn't unique, right? Because that's just basically a small fragile unit that has the capacity to wipe something out. So Shining Spears would be a good example of that, Tom.
Yeah.
So that's what I meant. Like their mobility, it doesn't stress me in my list building because it already does what another army does. But interestingly, maybe if you take Eldar as a really good example, Eldar doesn't necessarily have the board presence that this army can do while also having the mobility.
You don't really want to be building in for Eldar screens.
That's my point. So it's so they have one or the other. Yeah. Whereas this army has both, which is quite cool. It's a concept. But then then the knight list has the same thing, but its mobility is in the long range shots of the knight, and it has its screens inbuilt from whichever it chooses it from.
Yeah. And James said something that was quite good in the chat. It was like Genestealer Cults are a gatekeeper.
Yeah.
And I've been thinking about it as well, not just in terms of list, but in terms of player as well. Because if you don't screen properly, you're getting screwed. If your list can't deal with it, you're getting screwed.
Yeah.
Whereas if your list can deal with it and you screen properly, it's just done.
But you're not. What I think is you don't already have to develop a list to deal with Genestealer Cults, because if you're dealing with orcs, you're dealing with Genestealer Cults. That's my thoughts. Like if you're dealing with, I suppose if you're dealing with chaos and all of the infantry inside of there with the not conscripts, the renegades, cultists. Thank you. And you're dealing with mass blobs of them, then you're already dealing with the Genestealer Cults, in my opinion. So that's what I was asking. Is there anything unique? And I think the psychic powers are fairly interesting.
Yeah, particularly the stop Overwatch one, because quite a lot of people. I don't think that's the only psychic power that stops Overwatch, because a lot of people have got access to like items that can stop that.
I'm okay just to quickly drop a last point on the screening thing. When I'm talking about screening, very, very quickly, I mean 2 layers of screening. Because you've got a couple of turns where you can drop in. Because if you've got something that can drop in turn 2, clear your screen, you need a backup screen as well. Right. And therefore you're now having to invest a lot of points into both screens.
Right, yeah, good point. Sorry, Nicholas, then you were saying?
No, I was just saying, I think they're the only army that can spread out their deny Overwatch over different turns. Like, Blood Angels have got that jump pack that stops you Overwatching.
Angels Link.
And then Drukhari have got that Vexator Mask.
That makes you fight last. 1 unit within 6.
There's one that stops Overwatch as well, I'm sure.
There is.
I can't remember what it's called, but
yeah. So they've just got one item.
And then you've got the Howling Branches.
Yeah, but these Genestealer Cults, they have access to the psychic power. Obviously, it's unreliable because it's a psychic power, but they can pick and choose when they need it.
7.
Yeah, so it's a bit more flexible than necessarily other armies have.
Yeah, it is
which
good.
is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, massive weapon. It was just really strong.
Yeah, I think that's like a
power pool
is
cannon
interesting.
unit that wants to go in somewhere.
There you go. Vexator Masters both apparently.
There you go.
Good shout, Nicholas.
Good.
And James is saying also shoot when you arrive immediately means you can remove screen before the next unit deep strikes, which is quite cool for movement pushing.
Which why need multiple layers?
Yeah,
it's like
defense in depth,
like an onion.
Yeah, defense in depth,
like
is what it's called.
Yes.
Yeah, that's very interesting. And so I mean that's fairly unique. But then like what I suppose if they're landing, so what you're saying is what they could effectively do is drop a unit down, wipe a screening unit, and then you'll get a charging unit into the unit it wants to charge.
Well, you can, when you shoot as soon as you come down, you shoot, you drop a unit, you shoot, you kill a unit of screen, then you drop the other, then you drop another unit,
which is then 9 away for its charge.
Yeah,
but you're still looking for that long bomb, not a long bomb charge, but the reason I've just stated earlier on in the show that I'm worried about taking boys all the time is because of those charge rolls.
It wouldn't even necessarily have to be 9 away because you can then move it in d6 inches, and then suddenly there's just a massive hole with a bunch of aberrants in it.
That sounds fun. Yeah. All right. Cool. Yeah. All right. Okay. Good. Anything else you think that the list does?
We'll have to see. I think there's a lot in this book to unpack. It's kind of like Orcs. People are still unpacking it.
Yeah, and if you look at, there's 3 people playing it fairly consistent with Orcs, and we have got to that stage where we've all gone in different directions with it. What I just wanted to do was identify, like, is there another Castellan, which there isn't. Yeah,
well, depends how you define another Castellan.
Yeah, but is there another game-changing unit, effectively?
Jackals could be.
Okay.
All the characters are super good.
Do you not think that they have a comparative, like, do you not think Shining Spears are there, like, semi-comparative?
The Shining Spears aren't guaranteed to bounce off. This is the thing. Jackals are.
Right. Well, the Jackal's guaranteed to kill the thing.
They don't need to kill the thing to make it to bounce off 14 inches.
You mean, so define bounce off for people.
There's a stratagem that allows you to move after you fired.
There you go. That's it. Because some people won't know what you mean. They'll be like, what, bounce? Wait, are they made of rubber now?
Yeah.
Resin, plastic, and now rubber? No one wants that. So effectively they can shoot and they can move away.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And they're -1 to hit. Stock.
Okay. All right. Fair enough.
But yeah. They seem to be. They're not going to be as. They're not going to be as resilient as Shining Spears.
You can't drop it and drop them in and do that instantly. But then it depends if you really need to. You can just take board sense of a bunch of jackals and then just laugh at people.
Yeah, maybe.
They just jump out.
I would say that their threat seems similar to Shining Spears, realistically.
There's similar concept, I guess.
Yeah. And that's the role. And I already have to deal with those dickheads. And by deal with them, watch them as they come towards me and murder my shit.
I like how the bicycle has 2 wounds and the quad bicycle has 4 wounds.
Yeah, I know, 4 wheels.
It's a wound for each wheel.
A wound per wheel.
These are my wound counters. As you pull a wheel off.
What if one of them did any of them have a puncture repair kit?
Yeah.
They missed a trick there. They could have had an item. One of them could have a puncture repair kit and repair 1 wound a turn.
Ooh.
Pretty
Spare
fancy.
wheel. At the start of your turn, regen 1 wound.
All right. So yeah, I think that's about covered that so far until we deep dive into it next week, if that's cool with you guys.
Yeah, maybe we could do some rundowns on particular units.
I feel Tom wants to do jackals.
You should definitely do the jackals. Tom.
I honestly haven't actually looked at the stratagems yet.
Right, but you can do. Well, you can just do jackals anyway, and then your conclusion can be.
Oh, well, you mean next week, not now.
Next week.
Next week.
Yeah,
Yes.
next week.
I'm not prepared now. But,
No, good. All right.
Have the chat got any requests for units they'd like a rundown?
Unit rundowns.
Yeah.
Okay, interesting.
Put it in the chat.
I quite like acolytes.
I believe there's a currency called knees that you can use.
No, there's none of those.
Spend
So
your
you're
knees.
gonna do jackals. I think it's gonna be really interesting.
I'm not joking, by the way.
If the chat pick one for
Serious.
me, I'll let them decide.
See?
Or I'll just pick one.
Yeah.
These are your knees.
All right. Well, or you can tweet us. Zyke wants acolytes as a vote.
Acolytes.
Who wants to do the most boring unit in the book, apart from the hand flamers?
What acolytes are the boring ones?
Acolytes have hand flamers.
Oh, you don't like them?
No, they're good. I've got 105 of them.
Longshot Loxley says, do the terrain piece. I want to know how crap it
The
is.
terrain piece.
It's crap.
I'm not doing a terrain piece.
Because you can't get CP with it.
And Hermanist says, I'd be interested to hear about the Ridge Runner. The model is awesome, but the reviews aren't great.
The what, sorry?
The Ridge Runner.
The Roadrunner.
It's called the Ridge Runner.
Ridge Runner?
Yeah. And also Massive wants some Vermin Lords, but that's AOS thing, no problem. And Hellstorm Dan says Seraphim. So
No.
Yeah, Dan, no problem. We'll do that when we get some with our internet.
Codex, Dan.
Yeah,
Not in the codex.
All right. Well, thank you to everyone for checking out the show.
We're not doing the very quick chaos stuff and the OTC stuff.
Oh yes, sorry. No, good point. Yeah. So they've just announced that there's going to be more. There's going to be a Chaos versus new Primaris box set coming out.
Shocker.
Yeah.
And there's going to be a Primaris Lieutenant in it.
No, there's going to be Primaris heavy weapon squads with jump packs.
With jump packs.
Apparently.
And 4 swords.
Yeah, and 4 swords. Yeah, no, not 4 swords. But yeah, heavy weapon squads. Yeah, they're called the Vanguard.
Oh.
Yeah, Primaris Vanguard.
Yeah. Are they going to be just like the guys with the heavy bolt, the assault bolts?
Like giant assault cannons.
Oh, wow.
You walk up with an autocannon, dude.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So yeah, the Vanguard Stormcast. So yeah, giant assault cannons. I'm sure there'll be some other variants as well, because there's going to be obviously Abaddon's on the way. They announced some very, very large Chaos Space Marines today. They looked very
announced a
large Chaos Space Marines.
Didn't they announce a big-looking spider thing with an obnoxious tank on the back?
Yeah,
Yeah.
they did. So new obliterators, but that was released before. But effectively, it's 5 days. So next week we'll bring you all the actual news because there's no other news than clickbait articles on the Warhammer community site currently. That's literally all there is. They're getting a full reboot, Chaos Space Marines, basically.
You know what I want them to do for Primaris Marines? Obviously, they've got the Hellblaster squad, which is all plasma guns, which is obviously sweet.
Yeah.
But I would like them to have a squad which is all melter guns or all flamers.
So I think they're taking the design methodology from the Horus Heresy game, which if you guys have never played that, you only buy a squad that has one weapon because in those days, and I'm sure you guys know this, but I'll just repeat it for the new people. In those days, everyone would just do one job. They'd be like, "You're the melter gun guys. You're the autocannon guys. You're the sword
Division
in the face
of Labour.
guys." Yeah, that because they had so many. Because then the Imperial Army was so fucking big. They had 18 Space Marine legions, and each one of those was crazy. I think at its height, I think the Ultramarines had something like 250,000 Space Marines in their army. Yeah, crazy, right? And then obviously after the Heresy and with the sheer volume of reduction of Space Marines, they all had to become multi-talented. So it's like, I've never fired a melter gun before, so they did that training for
So you got the plasma gun blowing up.
Yeah, exactly, right? So yeah, they ended up becoming a master of all. No, jack of all trades, master of none. Sort of situation, although they were masters of all those trades, so they became a master of all the trades.
Is that why Marines are so rubbish nowadays? They've just they've lost all their specialisation.
Well, there's 10% of the volume of Marines that they were. I mean, they're still like game changing in the narrative, not in the actual game.
Unless you Death Watch.
But what I mean is with the release of the Primaris, effectively what you're seeing is they're going back to that hyper specialization, which is quite cool, I think, realistically.
Yeah, I like that. That's kind of how I played my Chaos. Like, I had my Tactical Marines who just had bolters, and then I had my Havoc squads that just had all plasma guns. So, yeah, I think it's a good way to go.
Yes.
I'm excited.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think it's really, really good. Like, and also you fulfil different job roles, which is quite good. And also, as Landor was saying there, it's because their narrative for their reasoning is that it's because Gunnerman obviously was around back in the day, and he's just like, you guys can't all have different weapons, all have one gun. So
Cuts down on training costs as well.
it's arguably better, by the way, for list building. Like, it's simpler. Like, you just go, that unit, no, this unit, great. And it's a little bit like, it's less granular, but I find it a little bit simpler to put together, personally.
Yeah.
Like, if you read Plague Marines, just their data sheet, you're like...
Like a grenade.
You're like, I don't know what I want to give them.
It does mean you've got less, you've got no ablative wounds, basically. Like, you might take a Devastator squad with 3 heavy bolters in and then 3 normal Joes.
Yeah.
So you don't, when you lose your first wound or 2, you're not losing your investment in the heavy bolters or whatever.
Yeah.
Whereas if you lose a Hellblaster, you've lost all the points that you put into that.
Yeah, there's more list specialization. Like, you can do some better list designing as a list writer when there's more granularity. But then this is also like, this is nice and simple. Like, they do that job. Do I want it or not want it? Cool, which is quite simple. I like it personally. And then Andrew says it also keeps the Primaris design space a bit separate from the original Astartes as well. So yeah, having that like also means you can like really like, this guy's got a plasma gun like this guy's got a plasma gun like this one's just doing 2 in the air.
Yeah,
like
this one's got a plasma gun and a pistol.
Yeah, he's just doing what he wants. So like,
This guy's sliding across the floor like this.
Yeah. So I like that personally. I think I prefer that because I've always preferred the heresy version of building lists. It's just like, they're the shooter boys. They're the fighting boys.
That's their job.
Yeah, I really like that.
Fair enough.
But with that release, we don't know yet, so when it does come out, but I mean, with more Primaris Marines that we've not seen in the Codex, you assume a new Codex Astartes sometime soon.
Yeah.
That makes loads of sense.
Yeah.
And then also a full Black Legion
And
army.
the older Marines will slowly fade away into irrelevance.
They become scouts.
They're not replacing them, probably. But they are.
They're not replacing them, they're making them irrelevant slowly over time.
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah. Anyway, well, what can you say about that? I think Primaris ones look better. End of.
They do look better, yeah.
They do look better.
It's the lore bits that everyone doesn't like.
Well, they stole it from Attack of the Clones, so...
Yeah.
Yeah. Call is literally those aliens that Obi-Wan finds, and they're like, we've designed you an army! And he's like, oh, nice. Oh, the Gunnerman, I think, is actually... Obi-Wan and Gunnerman are the same. He's like... Here's an army. He goes, oh, sweet.
Obi-Wan has a big titty GS.
Does he?
I don't know, he might.
Oh, okay. Right, so there's that. And then what did you say? There was some news about the ITC.
Frontline Gaming have released an article about changes to the ITC for the coming season. So the plan is to basically, from what I could see, make everything worth more points, but make the RTTs worth comparably more points and GTs worth comparably more points.
Right.
And I think they've made the actual LVO tournament worth less points, I think, as well.
Yes.
Because from what I heard...
Yeah, so they still count for more, but they don't count for a grossly large amount anymore, is the exact wording.
Do you want to explain what the current issue was with ITC points scoring?
ITC points scaled off size event rather than...
FYI, if you guys are listening, the ITC is the Independent Tournament Circuit, which is run by Frontline Gaming, which usually culminates in the Las Vegas Open, which happened a couple weeks ago.
So the issue of the ITC ranking that I specifically was talking about was it scales entirely off size of event rather than quality of event. So, for example, you would get more points for coming 44th at the LVO than you would for winning the Nova Open.
Yeah.
You get more points for coming like 200 and something at the LVO than you would for winning an 80-person GT.
Yes.
Which I thought was a little bit obnoxious because you can go 4-2 in a field of 800 people, get that, and you get an absurd number of points.
Yes. So they've changed that because it's had some criticism.
So LGT and LVO aren't worth grossly more points anymore. Mid-sized GTs, you get more points, and RTTs, you get more points. Although the RTTs won't matter too much if you're looking to actually win the thing, because you want to be winning majors and stuff.
So a major is classed as?
An event with more than 80 people, I think. I don't know the exact numbers. And then the multiplier has changed. So what multiplier was is a win streak bonus.
Yeah.
You get more points for a win streak bonus. And there's now more of a smooth transition between the number of points each player gets down the field rather than being a drop-off at 10th place.
Okay.
We're also testing out some new secondaries, and we're testing out deployment changes. So at the minute we're testing out half their missions with you deploy your entire army, I deploy my entire army, and half the missions with I go, you go, I go, you go.
Right.
So that's pretty much it for the announcement. We're still waiting to see what the pack will look like sometime at the end of March, I think.
Nicholas, what do you think?
I don't really play many ITC tournaments, but I think it's a good idea to readjust how those points are allocated to people. Should make it a bit more fair and maybe encourage more people to run those style events. And it sounds good because it sounded like someone could just go to the big tournament at the end of the year and win the whole thing.
I've always had a problem. I've always had a problem with the ITC, just because effectively everyone's playing the same game or they're not. Like, so Tom just explained his experiences of playing with orcs in a non-ITC, ETC kind of variant tournament
with some ITC rulings.
With some ITC rulings, and so like, and while your experiences are utterly valid, absolutely, you're adding into the mix of your play experience different to my experience of playing the chapter approved missions at Warhammer World, where the scenery is terrible and nothing blocks line of sight. Like, so when we do these shows, I find them super problematic when we have this conversation. And I always compare this when I do compared to an Age of Sigmar show, because for me, they really help define each other. Because I've learned loads from 40k for Age of Sigmar, and I think I'm learning loads from Age of Sigmar for 40k. But for me as a commentator, but also as a person just involved in the community for 40k, whenever I have a conversation with anyone, I'm having 3 conversations with like, are all boys good? And invariably they're good in every single one of those scenarios. Yeah. But in this, and in some situations where it's like, well, what about the Jackals? Like, well, actually, no. Like, I mean, they're going to get table quarters in IC, which is great, but they're not going to be holding an objective in the Games Workshop missions. And you're like, and it's hard for me to put credence or precedent into either of the systems. And obviously, probably the most recognisable system is the ITC. It's the one that everyone talks about. It culminates in a really large event. But at the same time, they just, off their own back, decide, and because for a long time they did, and they helped the entire of the 40k community do so I think it's excellent, they just at one point were like, do you know what I'm going to do? We're just going to make it so half it's you go, I go, half of it's we alternate deployment. And it's like, okay, just for me, I'm like, pick a fence.
I agree.
Yeah, like pick a side. Yeah. That's one.
They said they're play testing it, so they're not picking a fence. They're sitting on both fences and finding which one's the most comfy.
I don't like junk.
Our fence is even company. If you sit on the grass on either side of a fence, that's way comfier, right? Yeah. So while I'm excited that there's going to be a new season, there's new stuff happening, I tend to find that the format for what is effectively, in my opinion, professional 40k, which is the ITC, and then there's a great conversation, Tom, as to whether or not it's even learning the lessons which the ETC have had in place for a long time or many years, because sometimes I don't think it does, especially when it comes to fair play. Yeah. Because the ETC is just like, you will finish your games, and that is the end of the
we will break you over the fence outside.
Yeah, and
I still do as well.
Yeah, and I still don't necessarily think the ITC have cracked that problem, because effectively they're a ticket selling machine.
Well, that's why I'm quite pleased that they've come out with this change in how many points are allocated where, because I wouldn't have been surprised if they just kept the points as is, because it creates a massive incentive to go to the RVO, which at the end of the day is an event that they run. So I wouldn't have blamed them at all for that, because I can understand why you...
But it would have also meant people wouldn't have gone to any of the other events.
Yes, this is the thing.
Yeah, so they have to spread their butter out a little bit more.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. That's all good.
Oh, that's you were like, good point. All right, we'll end that. Yeah, so I think that's probably why they've done it, because they're like, we want to. They probably have maxed out.
It's the health of the circuit rather than the health of the individual.
The health of the circuit, and you make more. Like, if you sell multiple tickets over a singular ticket, that's better money, right?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. So, like, I'm excited. I just don't. I don't necessarily think that that's the way to go forward when it comes to pro 40k. like the way that it's done, because again a variable, and also because it's super American centric as opposed to a bunch of other places, and then it doesn't really include things like the ETC, which is a huge part of people like yours and other people's training, if you will. Doing this for the podcast, I'm doing bunny ears, but there is training that you guys do before you go to the ETC, and every ETC player who I've met, with the exception of being basically a bunch of hobby criminals, is an amazing 40k player, almost time and again. Well,
they run orcs people.
Well, but they're the ones I met, is my point.
Yeah.
And I keep seeing that, and that's also true of the ITC players that I've met and seen play as well, and usually they're both. I just find that the delineation is like problematic for me.
It's like rugby union or rugby league.
Yeah, but it's confusing for me as a streamer because then I'm based in Nottingham as well. Yeah,
just don't write custom scenario.
It's
great. Yeah, just tell people what it is.
Like, I'm based in Nottingham and I'm here like going, I'll go to the GT heats, and then like James said in the chat there, they devalue that. And then we went to the Hellstorming. I went to the Hellstorm War Games. What was it called?
Into the
Hellstorm tournament last year, where that was just they had their own house rules again, where it's just like
you can only take one faction.
You can only take one faction.
No fortifications.
Yeah, and I really like that. I thought that was great. But the problem is when you get to who's a great player, how's it all settled out, which they've changed there. I mean, there's so many versions of that. It gets a little bit complex.
Yeah, because all the ITC tournaments, they just have to be ITC registered. They don't necessarily have to be playing the same format, do they?
No.
So you
don't have to play the Champions Pack. Give points.
And Matt Pashby saying a lot of ITC players train for and go for both ETC as well. Why can't we have both of us? Because Matt, I don't know if you are a 40k player. I think you have been, or maybe still are. But 40k is so different in mission structure to Age of Sigmar. Like we just had an event happen this weekend with Age of Sigmar where it was won. Game 5 was won at deployment. Not even at deployment, before the game started.
Was that what you were streaming?
Yeah, we were streaming. It started before the game because the guy was effectively able to because you could win the game on the first turn.
Because you could choose.
You could choose to do something effectively. And it's the only mission that could do that. Yeah. And arguably, and the show we're going to do on Monday about that is we're going to go through all the missions and go, probably never include that mission because it's super interactive. Yeah. It's not healthy for the game. And it's similar in this, but there's the ETC format, there's some homebrew missions, there's like...
And then you've got your own delineations of those.
Yeah, and then you got your delineations of those, and I'm like, where's the fucking line? I just want to know whether or not repulsors are good. Answer, they're not.
There we go. We'll go to Hull.
But that Games Workshop staff member
No, I'm
told
not even joking. Let's do it.
Go on, Nick, what you said, sorry?
That Games Workshop staff member told me repulsors are great.
Dude.
Inside the store's another environment as well, right?
Yeah.
Repulsors aren't bad.
They're terrible.
They're awful.
You could take them as dedicated transports now.
Yes.
So you could take 5 with Guilliman now.
Wow.
No.
Yeah.
Do you know why?
Yeah.
Because that would take longer to shoot than any
You'd never
other
finish
army.
a game.
You would never finish your game.
It would
Never
take longer to
finish a game.
shoot because you kill it all.
Well, yeah. I mean, it wouldn't take very long to shoot because you're right. You would just murder them all immediately. Yeah.
Another interesting news thing.
Yeah.
Is that I heard? I think it's Signals from the Frontline podcast. They're implementing this year, which I thought was quite cool. And they did it for the LVO. So they had a standard list format that people needed to send a list in, and they designed a computer program that could read all the lists and then input it straight away into a big Excel spreadsheet that they could get stats from.
Yeah.
So they got a load of cool stats. So I think they're going to do that for the rest of the year for list submission, and they can get stats on like win percentages and stuff like that, which is pretty cool. But my worry about that is, because Reese on the podcast was saying a lot of, and then we can feed that back to Games Workshop. My worry is that all the points in Chapter Approved and Codex and things like that are just going to be based on ITC tournaments now.
Yeah, they are. And then when they come to design, their missions, And I don't mind. If Games Workshop just want to do ITC missions and only listen to the ITC devs, then great. Then just make that be in chapter approved. Because the other problem as well, like when you've got a new player, like one of you guys out there right now, listening to the podcast or watching the YouTube show, you might be like, I'm pretty new to 40k, but you guys are pretty fun. I like you guys the mostest because Tom's hair's cool and Nikos has got those sick burns.
And we make great conversions.
Yeah. I feel like we might not be able to give them the best advice because there isn't that standard format out there.
Yeah, if we can, it's almost like Age of Sigmar, you can give straight advice.
Just straight advice.
It's one game, but 40k, you almost have to give 3 answers.
I do kind of like having those different options though, because it means that list building isn't just straight simple. But I've got this list now. We'll take it to wherever.
No, it's and I agree. Like it's like having loads of options to play loads. I like the single faction tournament idea. I'm all about that. Yeah, that's really fun, and I want to buy a ticket for that. So that's good market. That's good market strategy, right? It's like I want to be in the market. I want to play. I want to sell tickets, and so they've come up with a good concept for doing that. Problem is, when it comes to doing commentary of any sort, not that obviously you would ever see anything like that from the American team or the LVO. No. You'll just hear humming. You would say that there's an issue realistically, like in giving good commentary or giving good feedback. Would you not say?
If there's multiple different formats. Yeah.
Okay. All right, good. All right, that's only ever been my issue. Yeah. Fair enough. All right, good. Good. So we're going to go now because Tom's zoned out. The Twitch chat has distracted him immensely.
They keep talking about my mech guns.
I know. I've seen you. I saw you. You've had your 2 hours and it's kicked in. Everyone on the Twitch chat, you guys have been great. Thank you so much, Nikos. You've been great.
Thank you.
Tom, you've been wonderful.
I love you too.
But your mech runs are awful and you should be in jail.
And I'm going to smash it in a minute with this glass.
Don't, that'll cost him 40p. If you've been listening to the podcast, I hope you enjoyed it. If you've been joining us live, I want to say thank you to everyone who's been here. You guys are great. And then thank you to everyone on Patreon. You guys are wonderful and you make the world go round.
We do.
So I appreciate that.
Yeah.
In the future, I'm going to tell these guys off air in a minute. There's some cool things we're going to do. I told you earlier about some cool things we do when we do event coverage. So Patreon will be even better in the future.
You're going to do it in a morph suit.
You know what I'm going to do. But yeah, thank you very much. I hope you guys have a great day. Have a great week. Enjoy 40k in whatever environment. Next week, join us for some rundowns. I think I'm going to tackle assassins. I'm excited about that.
Okay.
And then we'll see you guys soon. Cool. So thank you very much and goodbye.
Bye.